Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 185. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, and joining me is return guest Peter Zaluzny.
Hey.
First-time guest Simon Hamilton.
Hey, you got there.
And returning from a very long absence, I think it must be over 150 episodes by now, is Sheridan Morley. You haven't changed a bit.
You couldn't wait 1 second to pull that out, could you?
Oh, it's coming out many a time today. I can't wait.
And thank you for joining us for the Simpsons Index. This is the podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there is a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. Now, Simon, brand new guest to the podcast. I've put these guys through the grilling of questions, and now it's your turn.
Oh, God.
What is your Simpsons history? Where did the show begin with you?
Since I can remember.
Yeah?
It's always been there.
Just
Unfortunately, recently.
Yes, I have subjected you to a new episode, as I do with my first-time guests. But where did you drop off with the show, actually, on the other side of that?
I became less of a fan, I'd say, about 5 years ago.
Oh, really? That recently?
Yeah.
Do you remember any particular episode which turned you off?
Not particularly, no. It's just sort of became forgetful.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Yeah. No, I'm struggling to remember the last one we watched. And how about you, Sheridan? Have you watched any new Simpsons since we last had you on the show?
Well, not until you just subjected me to it. It was terrible. I went back recently and started from about season 3. Got up to, I think, 15 and went, what am I doing? This is just awful. Like, truly, truly awful. And so I stopped, and then I cancelled my Disney Plus subscription.
Oh, my God. I am so envious.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the only reason you get it, right? That and Jeff Goldblum's opinion on everything, or whatever that show's called. That's pretty good. Yeah. He did an episode on swimming pools recently.
Fascinating.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's not.
And how about you, Pete? Have you kept up with the show since?
No, I still occasionally do this real retro thing called watching broadcast television.
What?
And I know. And
how are ads these days?
Worse. Somehow worse. No one wants to advertise anymore. There's the same ads for that fucking pair of underwear, and I'm not going to say it because they're not a sponsor of this show. Because you've got so much sponsorship money coming in, right, Elliot? This is a very in-demand
he's loaded.
program.
Oh, yeah. This chair is made of all my podcast money.
Wow.
For those who don't know, I'm squatting right now.
Sitting on a bucket.
I'm on a milk crate.
But occasionally I'll catch a new episode on TV, and I never last more than like between 2 ad breaks. They're just, they've because I only seem to ever air the newer seasons these days. I haven't seen a classic one on TV for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
But the furthest I got, which I think I said last time I was here, I got as far as season 20 because I wanted to know. So I watched them all up to season 20, and at that point I'm out. Yeah.
Well, thank you, all 3 of you, for letting me subject you to an episode from the HD era. This is a pretty recent one. This was season 28, episode 11, Pork and Burns. First released in January 2017, it was directed by Matthew Nastuk, written by Rob Lezebnik. In this episode, Homer gets Spider-Pig registered as his therapy dog, and Mr. Burns' hounds injure it, and then Mr. Burns takes it for a while. And Marge also gets all Marie Kondo. Guys, what did you think?
I don't even know where to start.
Play the noise. That's my feelings about it.
The one time I didn't have it queued up.
The whole episode was so directionless.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't have any point at all. Like, I suppose there was a sort of underlying Spider-Pig situation going on, but...
I will add, before we started this podcast, for those listening, Elliot made a really good point, and that is that Simpsons episodes from this era are basically like hearing someone describe a dream to you.
Yeah.
And it's the most boring shit ever. And you're like, okay, so a bunch of stuff happened.
And then this happened, and then this happened.
And you were there,
and then it ends.
You were there. And this episode was like that. And Spider-Pig was there, and Old Gil was there, and Mr. Burns was there. But nothing fucking happened.
Yeah, those are the extent of my notes. Like, my summary of the episode is, okay, so this, and this, and this. And that really sums up, contemporary Simpsons writing and why it's all gone so downhill. Because they don't tend to commit to one overarching plot with B plots and everything. They just seem to come up with a bunch of random ideas and then find a way to string them together.
I am glad, though, that you asked for that timestamp.
Oh, yeah.
9 minutes and 30 seconds, the only time any of us laughed.
Yeah, it took us 9.5 minutes before we all laughed collectively at a joke.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a huge laugh either.
No, it was more of a, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
Saying
good old-
Snake was good, even though he has a much larger earring than he used
Oh, yeah, and Snake was there.
at some point. And a gimp.
So
yeah.
that was, so
and
that
then
was the
Homer
other
got
thing.
picked up in a van that had a gimp in the back, and then
And
the
there
pig
was-
squealed.
There
And
was
a
some
gimp was there.
suggested molestation happening.
Yeah.
They just sort of glossed over that.
So that was the other thing when you mentioned Snake. This episode seemed to rely on a lot of, hey, remember old Simpsons when it was funny? Like
Yeah.
Gil pops up at one point, and how you make Gil not funny, I don't know, because he's a hilarious character.
You keep the show running for 20 years past its prime.
This is true, yeah.
You know what I thought? And that moment that Gil popped up, and it's probably, like 15 minutes into the episode. So definitely the latter half. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if all of the bullshit we were just subjected to at the start of this episode was a weird roundabout way of getting to examining Gil's mental breakdown? Like he's in a storage locker saying, hey, there's a wedding going on in here. I'm just like, there's no wedding.
I don't know. For all we know, there could have been real people in there.
Or they could have
Dead
got real
people.
dark with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gil
Zoom
can
into the
get
locker and it's
dark.
just
Gil can get
corpses.
really dark.
Ooh.
It's all the people that were in the back of the van.
And the corpses were there.
And that's a little bit of insight into Simon's brain. There we go.
Welcome to the podcast. All right, Pete, we'll start out with you. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you from this episode?
Oh, good lord. The mayo gag. I think we all groaned at that. So,
Yeah, that hurt.
you know, Marge mentions that something about Homer going to the Mayo Clinic or the pig, and then he has a fantasy about a bunch of jars of mayonnaise making sandwiches in a hospital. And that was, again, felt like another attempt of contemporary writers looking at classic Simpsons and being like, oh, we're going to capture a Homer fantasy.
I feel like we all felt it coming as well.
We
as
did,
soon as
yeah.
she said Mayo Clinic, and he was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we
it
went,
was a-
oh,
don't,
here
don't.
we go.
Oh, you don't.
But yeah, it wasn't just that the joke was bad. As you could see, they were desperately trying to cling to the past when they weren't writers on the show at the time, and it just completely missed the mark. And I think the reason being is because whenever Homer had a fantasy back in the day that was completely off the wall and hilarious, he was always somehow involved in it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when he goes, I have... See, now I'm going to bring up old Simpsons because it's funnier. I have a photographic memory. I think that Homer's there and he's super ripped. He's just sitting in the corner,
Yes,
but he's there.
President. Right away.
Whereas this one, it just felt like it was just an incidental bit of stupid fluff, and then Marge acknowledged it too. And
Yeah.
you're like, and that's Homer's supposed to be in his own weird world. And
Can I ask, what exactly the fuck is Miracle Whip? Does anyone know?
is it just whipped cream?
Yeah.
It's just
Miracle Whip.
It's whipped cream, isn't it?
No, it's a brand of mayonnaise, but yeah.
What's
Oh.
a mayonnaise? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Who
so it's
whips
like
mayonnaise?
fluffed chemical mayonnaise in a
Miracle.
jar.
I think, yeah, that's the
America.
image it conjures up, isn't it?
Ugh.
It's like one of these things like, I can't believe it's not butter, where they don't actually call it mayonnaise. It has some of the certain
Ugh.
properties of mayonnaise.
There's some
but it's just
fucked
Miracle
up
Whip.
shit in that country. Like spray cheese. Cheese shouldn't spray.
not with that attitude.
Quitter.
Anyway, though, that's my gripe. That's what stuck with me, and it was bad.
How about you, Simon? Did you have a moment from this episode that stood out to you?
Look, I'm probably going to get shouted down for this one, but I was happy to see the pig again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I've got a soft spot for him. I do have a bit of a soft spot. I did enjoy the movie, so it was nice to see him back again. I did like to find out that he had some sort of property where he can actually just sink into the ground magically.
Yeah. They kept
was
that in for what?
weird.
Yeah. It's sort of weird because this is the first time they've shown Plopper, like, they've brought him back for cameos and stuff, like he was a truffle pig in one episode, but this is the first time that they've like, oh no, we've had him as a pet this whole time, and
Yeah,
we've got
yeah.
a pig pen in the back.
Ignore all the other scenes in the backyard where there's definitely no pig pen.
Yeah.
I do
Oh, that's
appreciate
fine.
the backyard's ability to shift and change.
The
you know,
entire
it's- yeah, across
house's
the,
ability to
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
No, the Simpsons live in a wonderful house like that. There's just sometimes rooms that are only there for one episode.
Yeah, just wish it and it will be.
I noticed today wallpaper in the bathroom that I've never seen before.
It's because it's HD Simpsons. Now it's finally like in focus and defined. You can actually see. It was always there.
Ah.
See, you say it's HD Simpsons, but I actually noticed a lot of the animations were really poor quality. Like, sometimes Marge was probably about 4.5 foot tall for no apparent reason. Like, the scaling
With
was
or without
all
hair?
out of whack. With the hair.
Actually, I swear Bart's nose disappeared when he interlocked with Lisa in
Yeah.
that one weird scene.
Yeah, they can never do The Simpsons front on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's a nightmare fuel.
it is. Barney in particular, front on. Ooh.
Don't cry for me.
I'm already dead.
But like, it wasn't the worst use of Spider Pig, but this is another trend of Simpsons, and Pete, we covered this when we did the Funtendo Z episode, is that they're commenting on something that's like fairly recent in culture or whatever, like with the therapy animals, and they don't really have anything to say about
I
it.
made that exact note. I said, yet another episode where the writers try to be contemporary and don't quite understand what they're parodying.
Apt.
And don't seem to commit to one thing as well. Like, okay, Kondo, what was her first name? Was
Marie.
it Marie? Thank you. I can't believe that was 2 years ago already. It still feels like that was yesterday.
God, we're old.
Yeah, we are old because we remember good Simpsons. Yeah, so like
Take
they
note, kids.
went to parody that, but then didn't really parody it. They just kind of got the family to follow what she was doing, you know.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, then we'll parody therapy animals, and then we'll parody anxiety, but a lot of it wasn't even jokes. It was just sort of what people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more of like a sort
Yeah,
of like
here
a
are
running
some things that
commentary than a
happen.
parody.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing to say, and like it's so disappointing because I hate to be old man O'Neill, but old Simpsons were better. But yeah, when they commented on something, they actually commented on it. You know,
Yeah.
they had something to say. How about you, Sheridan? For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
Ugh. Well, first of all, can I just say, and sorry, but in my mind, Spider Pig was never funny, is not funny now. I don't know why it
Traitor.
keeps getting brought up. No,
Ooh,
it's
contrasting
just
opinions.
all that did in that stupid movie, which I didn't enjoy, I'm sorry, but
Double traitor.
it just birthed a decade of dumbasses quoting that fucking song, and that's all that it did.
Yeah.
It was not funny. I don't know why they keep bringing Spider Pig into it. It's stupid.
You know, one of the funniest things about that, when you look at the Simpsons movie credits, when the song Spider Pig comes up, it's got like 15 credited writers.
What?
We stayed up all night.
It's a complex masterpiece.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, I've made a couple of notes here. First of all, this episode just sort of proves to me that, you know, the laziness that we were sort of almost getting to with the writing, it's just like every character that I saw in this episode has become even more of a caricature of their former self.
Yeah.
You know, Skinner in the car going, why did I wear mother's blouse today? And
He was clearly
you know.
wearing his suit.
And also clearly murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By
That's it.
Squishy.
Yeah.
But that's just, you know, it's not funny anymore. It's almost like they're trying to parody what the character originally was. And it's not funny.
Yeah,
It's just
and
not
it,
funny.
and it feels like a lot of the writers grew up watching The Simpsons and got a job on the show, which is awesome. But instead of finding their own voice, they're trying to
Yeah.
replicate what
Yeah,
they
it's
saw and not
Painting by
nailing it.
numbers.
Yeah,
No, exactly. It's like there's, you know, this twist of irony to it these days that doesn't quite hit the mark, I think, and that's a problem. But the other thing I've written down, well, a couple of things. First of all, it's just full of pointless flashbacks for no reasons or pointless cutaways that weren't funny, didn't really line up with the story, whatever. And then on top of that, I'm like, how much money did they actually spend in this episode to license all the songs that they used?
Yeah,
They
right?
did the Bodyguard ending with Homer running towards Spider Pig, Whitney Houston playing. They used the ER theme song. There was a jazz song that happened at one point that I couldn't quite put my finger on, but it wasn't an original.
It's okay. Jazz musicians don't have the money to sue anybody. They probably just used it for free.
Too busy with the heroin, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just sort of hit home even
Edgy.
more for me that, like, if you've got enough money to do that, just pay some decent writers.
Am I right in thinking, and this is me asking God here, it's not the first time they've done the running towards bodyguard music situation, is it?
They've done the actual Bodyguard ending when he is a bodyguard as he's walking out kicking people
That's
away.
right.
There
That's
was the
what
Luke
I'm
Skywalker
thinking.
episode where they,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should say Mark Hamill being Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Be a
thinking.
Jedi tonight.
Oh, we should do that episode.
Nope. Aw. Do it for Yoda while the guests go get a soda.
This is how hard we're trying to escape this episode.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, to your point, Sheridan, and the thing that stood out to me was, these stupid callbacks to previous Simpsons and with, them throwing out all their stuff. Does this spark joy? Barney finds the Mr. Plow jacket and it's like,
Oh,
finally, I'm
yes.
Mr. Plow. You were
Yeah.
the Plowkin, cunt. You
Yeah.
did better business than him.
Did you guys?
Oh, that's a
quirky
heavy
cunt.
C-bomb.
Did you hear Elliot audibly exhale when that joke happened?
Yeah.
I just heard you go, oh, and then you looked at the notebook.
Oh dear. Yeah, I've seen, actually, I was sitting next to Elliot as we were watching, and through this whole episode, I'd see him just sigh, shake his head, and at one point even tut. Just,
Oh, no. This won't do it at all.
This won't do.
Yeah. Yeah, this was difficult. Oh, fucking yeah. Just on that ER thing, the way they brought it back in at the end.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying.
I don't even want to start talking about the end.
Yeah, that was it. The episode just sort of ended.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Homer got his pig back, and then
The pig ate an elf.
Pig ate an elf. That's right.
I
And
think it
then-
was a fairy.
Oh,
Or
right.
whatever it was, yeah. And then it just sort of ended, and then they tacked on that little gag at the end for a laugh, and it was like, wait. So again, nothing happened, and so it didn't even feel like it concluded because nothing happened. It was just like 21 minutes.
There
of
was nothing to
bleh.
conclude.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just some things happened and then they didn't.
And then he had a dream, and
That
then he
was the
woke up from the
episode.
dream, and, it
And we'll
was
see you
finished.
next
Yeah.
week at 9.
Actually, I feel like we're being overwhelmingly negative, and that's fine because it was a fucking shit episode. But can we please talk about the one thing we did laugh at,
Yeah, of course.
which was Dr. Nick.
Yeah.
He had a good
Dr.
line.
Nick pushing the opioids.
That's it.
How many
How many
opiates
opioids would you like?
That was good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually enjoyed that string of things where, yeah, he goes to try and get, doctor's permission for a therapy animal, and then, yeah, it's the pullback and
medical
reveal.
marijuana.
Yeah, he's at the pot clinic, and she's like, "Oh, you fakers make me sick."
Yeah, so that was
I
pretty
did
good.
like the next
You're
line.
hushing
You're
our
hushing
clinic."
my clinic.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then, yeah, next doctor, why don't you try opioids?
Yeah, that's it.
The only other gag that made me laugh actually was when Smithers said, we'll take Spider Pig. You know his identity? Yes, and we know El Barter was Bart. These things are very easy to figure out. That gave me a laugh. Like, it wasn't a great laugh, but I was like, yeah, that's not
A
bad.
little chuckle.
Yeah.
We were scrimping at that
We
point.
were.
We really had to scrape
Yeah,
together
give
any
me
laugh
anything.
we could get.
Panning for gold, and yeah, a speckle. But was it a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons? The classic episodes did a really good balance of heart and wackiness, and we like to explore those. So, how did they take advantage of the cartoony space in this episode?
It was wacky in the sense that it made no sense. Like, we keep talking about the whole dream thing. It was like a dream sequence that made no sense and was just one thing to another. But I don't feel like there were any sort of visual wacky gags other than at the end when Homer's slow motion running towards Spider Pig and then Bart and Smithers just walk up in normal speed.
That's such a done joke.
It is. I was like, so many.
Too
I was
done.
in my head going, how many shows have done this? Scrubs, Seinfeld, Anyway.
Yeah. I guess the one bit of cartoony wackiness that stood out to me was the intro where we saw how this Joy of Throwing Stuff Out book gets made. And my note here is this racist?
I
this
thought
might
that
be
too.
racist.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
really
It
edging
was
on
really
it.
on the
racist.
line, and I looked at that.
I wasn't too sure until the robot seppuku happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
then
I
it
was like, yeah, that's definitely.
and all the
definitely-
noises that the fairies made
Yeah.
when one of them got their head ripped off. I was like, this is very close to the line. And and then I thought, oh yeah, and this was made 2 years ago. Where this is not 90s Simpsons, where it's still unacceptable, but
At
least a different time.
They sort of have an out.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
Oh, we
yeah.
were young then. We didn't know.
Yeah, it was the 90s. Everyone was high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they need to sort of take a line and stick to it because I'm aware that Hank Azaria has decided. Is it right that he has stopped voicing Apu?
Yeah, and they
Yep.
recently hired someone new. I saw they've hired a new voice actor for Apu. Was it Apu or someone else?
I don't think they've cast a poo yet, but
I'm getting it mixed up with Cleveland from Family Guy.
they cast him
Yeah,
already.
they've cast someone for Cleveland. But,
But yeah, we
interesting.
did the season 32 opener the other week where they recast Carl and voicing him as what's his name? Alex Dessert. He played the blind guy in Becca.
Oh, yep.
oh no
Yeah,
kidding.
Yeah,
His name is Dessert.
yeah. Or there's a little
Mr. Dessert.
there's an
Mr.
accent
Dessert.
over one of the E's, so it might be Dessert or something. I don't know.
Oh, I like that.
Man, if I had the last name of Dessert, I would definitely get a lordship.
Lord Dessert.
Yeah.
But how about on the flip side? How about the heart? Did we feel the emotions of this episode?
Hell no.
Did this episode bring us joy?
Look, honestly, there
Chuck
was a
it out.
little bit of a moment where I sort of identified with Lisa.
Mhm.
When you play an instrument for so long, you're like, this is sort of feeling like a job now instead
Yeah.
of.
The Honkama flute.
So I got that for a while.
I didn't mind
but like,
Honkama flute.
when she threw out all of everything she owns, it's like, well, now we're just being silly about it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I thought at that point they were trying to say that Lisa had moved from anxiety to depression, but they didn't do anything about
No,
it.
there was actually opportunity there for a moment of heart, and they didn't because all new Simpsons episodes have such a scattergun approach to the various plot lines they have running, they couldn't commit to that bit either. And I remember whenever there was like a sad moment with Lisa, it didn't play like a very distinct thing. Whenever there was old Simpsons episodes and there was something sad would happen, they'd play a very distinct style of music,
Yes.
you know? Whereas
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I can't remember, like I'm not going to sing it, but it was like a flute
it.
line or
Sing it,
something.
sing
Do
it.
it.
So all day we've been quoting that bit where Homer punches Lenny in the back of the head.
Is it a quote when it's just a noise?
Sure. Here it comes.
No, now it's not going to load.
Wait,
Oh, that
Oh, I
was it.
talked over it. Anyway, but yeah, they didn't do anything
You had
like
one
that.
job, Sheridan.
And
Oh,
even
I
when, you know,
know.
Bart went in to sort of talk to her and comfort her, it just felt so one-dimensional. Whereas then you think they had the episode like...
And then they connected heads?
Yeah.
The fuck was that?
They're Lego, apparently.
No, Blocko.
Blocko, of
Oh, yeah,
course.
Blocko.
But yeah, and Bart's advice was essentially like, just be happy.
Yeah.
And, like, it was, such
because
surface level
everybody who's
bullshit.
depressed loves hearing that.
Yeah.
That
Just
reminds
don't be
me.
depressed.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I played a song over the loudspeaker that you wrote, and she's like, woohoo, my depression's cured. I don't know what kind of message that is to
Self-gratification.
send, but
Yeah.
So if you think about it, this episode was actually a really subtle commentary on the American healthcare system. You know, we've got cure depression just by playing music. You don't need to become subject to drugs. And then you've got Dr. Nick just handing out opioids like crazy. Okay, the brilliance of this episode just went above our heads, and I'm just going to change my opinion. This was actually...
yeah,
Oh,
no,
there we go.
yeah, you got a point. It
And that's what we'll rank this episode up.
Can you please add that to the ranking system?
That's pretty much the definition for this episode, is getting
Yeah.
punched in the back of the head.
Yes, it's below failure.
But how about the integrity of the show? Are the characters behaving like the characters we know and love?
Not really.
No, as I said, caricatures of their former selves. And,
Yeah.
and cringy.
And Marge was a secondary character in this episode, which is weird when her kids are upset. you know?
Yeah.
Did anyone else notice that Marge's voice has gotten a lot croakier?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
She sounds like Mrs.
30 years of doing
Too many
that.
durries.
Too many durries.
The whole thing was like a weird fever dream. Like,
I'm thinking more old Simpsons. Oh, shut up and have a cigarette. I guess I could.
So that awoken something in Julie Kavner that day. No, I mean, I do. I feel sorry for her. She's a 72-year-old woman, and they're forcing her to do that. I mean, they're going through and
Oh,
replacing,
wow.
all the white actors who are playing black people. I think I need to replace Julie Kavner just for her own sake.
Yeah, she did sound pretty... Actually, maybe that's why Marge wasn't in this episode much. I'd be curious to see how much Marge is actually in the later seasons. Maybe Julie can't.
Yeah, that's
Julie,
a talk.
tweet us. Let us know. We know you listen to this podcast.
Love you,
Go
Julie.
on Twitter.
God, what a career, though. Like, how long's The Simpsons been going now? 30
she's
years?
been
32
since
years,
day one.
yeah.
32 years.
And yeah, before that, she was one of the big players on the Tracy Ullman show, and it's just been able to,
Right.
Oh, man, actually, I saw this the other day. Do you guys know how Yardley Smith has a podcast now?
No, I didn't know that.
It's like a true crime one. It's called Small Town Dicks. It's not bad. I've only listened to a couple of episodes.
interesting name.
Yeah. But like Dicks as in detectives.
Detectives.
Yeah. Well, I'd hope so.
Anyway, in a
I was
recent
all
episode,
excited for a second.
Small Town Dicks, it's a true crime show.
Well, it really depends on like how you say it as well. Is it small town dicks or is it small town dicks?
Where's the comma? Where's the emphasis?
Where's the emphasis?
On the syllable?
Anyway, Yardley Smith is playing herself in a recent episode of The Simpsons as a podcast host. It's annoying. They didn't even ask me to be on that episode. The other thing I hated about the integrity is, we're tying into like Lisa's mental health issues, which have been explored in the past, but like her just describing the symptoms as she's experiencing them is like, it's bad writing.
Yeah, and a bit of a fundamental misunderstanding of not just mental health, but people who live with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made it very one-dimensional, which was kind of unfair.
Yeah.
Especially given how broad a voice The Simpsons still has. Like, it's still one of the highest-rated shows in America, even though
Somehow.
I think it's just one of those things that people are just into, like, they're just along for the ride at this point.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Yeah.
like
Let's see how much this can burn.
I really want Disney to publish the numbers of which seasons or episodes are being watched more, because like I cannot imagine, like there must be a drop off. Like I don't know how people could do this for 5 years.
Well,
Yeah.
that was the other thing, going back, that we mentioned when we were watching the episode, that people who are watching new Simpsons now are probably, I reckon they'd be younger who didn't grow up with classic ones. So it's not an audience for people. It's not, for people like us who grew up with it.
Yeah.
And yet there was a couple of jokes in there that were all...
Yeah, they throw out like full-on 90s references.
Yeah, like an ER joke. And like, what do they say? Elizabeth, going to the Oscars with Elizabeth Hurley, was it? Or Taylor, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Hurley.
Yeah, pick your market.
Yeah, like just...
Oh, and even their guest stars, like Joyce Carol Oates. Fucking...
JCO.
Yep. The original JC.
Well done.
Really?
Well done, Sheridan.
Oh.
Sorry, I missed what you were talking about. I was burning Sheridan.
Sorry, you can only hear us, but we were all just staring at Sheridan. Just like, oh, really?
They can hear the stairs.
Sheridan.
I'm sorry.
Bloody shed.
You hit it pretty hard there, Rick.
But yeah, I mean...
Sorry, I love that.
That's all right.
Keep going.
Thank you. Thanks for the permission.
Sheridan
we
looks
will
like
keep
she
going.
wants me to try and move
And
the
welcome
fire
back
away
to
from her.
Peter's
yeah.
Simpsons podcast.
I'm
I've
ready.
taken over now.
I'm ready to throw this episode out. Can we move
Oh,
on?
nearly killed me.
Yes or no? Would you watch it again?
Fuck
No, Jesus.
No.
Actually, you know what? No.
What would you do to improve it, Shez? How would you like to change this episode?
I would
Fire.
like to go back in time and have it never be made. That's how I would like to change it.
How about you, Simon? What do you reckon can be improved in this one?
Like, make them all stick figures and just do a dance for 25 minutes. Like, anything but that.
All right, going more abstract. How about you, Pete?
I have an actual answer.
Well, thanks.
The
my
smug
phone,
face.
my notes. I dropped my phone.
You deserve that.
I did. Remove Spider Pig altogether. Start with the Mary Kondo thing, and then use that to go into a exploration of anxiety in the contemporary age, and balance it with a bit of heart and comedy, and focus on Lisa realizing that she actually has anxiety and how the family deal with that. That could have been interesting.
Well, like
Not very funny, though.
It could be funny.
Peter's available to
Mental
hire.
health for gas. No.
Yeah, it's great fun.
I will.
I love living with anxiety.
I will
Pardon?
second that opinion, but in a very different way by just saying follow through with any storyline that they started.
That's
just
true.
Finish
In
any
general,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
just
didn't
stick to
commit to any
something.
of them.
no, because it sort of seemed like
Resolve
they were
something.
trying to go for a contrast with like Bart unable to throw away any of his stuff and Lisa like going too far in the extreme, and it was just didn't dig into it at all.
Yeah.
And also stop trying to capture the past.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
just
move on.
realized too that they've already, I completely forgot about this until 3 seconds ago. They've done the therapy animal gag before with Mojo.
Oh
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Which was brilliant. Pray for Mojo. What do you want? His cholesterol's through the roof.
I thought that monkey was toilet trained.
He's struggling to breathe.
Oh, fuck. And guest stars, we also had Michael York reprising his recent role as Dr. Budgie. Michael York, you might know as Basil Exposition from the Austin Powers movies.
Oh, right.
Yes, just when you need old British man voice. That was my best British accent. All right, we are here. Sheridan, do you have any other notes about this episode before we rank this thing?
Look, nothing of note. Nothing I would say really other than just, first of all, the Marie Kondo stuff is bullshit. I'll just say, not in relation to The Simpsons, just in general. And I read an article last week that was like, the millennials who are rejecting Marie Kondo and hoarding books. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, it just goes from one thing to another. That's, I don't know. I think it was silly. As I said, I'll just reiterate, they didn't finish anything they started in this episode. It was very annoying, and I wish it never existed.
How about you, Simon? Any other notes?
Yeah, look, honestly, I agree with Peter as far as like the whole mental health thing should have been attacked a bit more thoroughly. Attacked probably isn't the right word when it comes to mental health.
The Simpsons attack mental health.
Take that, brain. But yeah, like just if any sense of closure would be lovely at this point. Just please, for the love of God, end.
Just any ending will do at this point.
Except that one.
Yeah. Any other ending.
How
Like,
about...
please don't pull out the "and it was just a dream."
Oh, yeah.
I did that in year 9.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Pulls out, Maggie wakes up and it's like, huh.
Yeah, Maggie's a 34-year-old woman in
Been in a
Manhattan.
coma since she was a baby. Hey, let's get dark with this shit. Why not?
Yeah, why not? I was going to go further, then I held myself back.
How about you, Pete? Any other notes?
No, I dropped my phone, so, whatever.
You can pick it up.
No, I have my notes on there, but I don't think there's much more to say about this. It's,
And my final notes. Marge reading that boob card at the start.
What was that about?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Comedy can be so surprising.
I don't know
Not
why
in
she
this
would have
case.
opened it. Anyway. And yeah, it was... Oh, I almost said ham-fisted. Fuck it, I'm going with it. It was really ham-fisted the way that, Spider-Pig got covered with barbecue sauce and attracted the hounds. I thought a much better joke would be if he accidentally caught fire, which would have cooked pig.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'd...
Accidentally caught fire.
Yeah,
Spontaneously combusted.
I don't
You
know.
know what? The one throwback they could have
How does
done.
that happen?
I don't know. Someone's just swinging around a branding iron, just accidentally hits the pig.
Don't
Look at me like that. I always swing my branding iron around.
Oh, no, yeah, you're
I'm
right.
doing
yeah,
it right now.
Yes. Hey, look out.
Dude, this isn't a visual medium. We can make up all sorts of shit
Oh,
right now.
That's right. If
I am not
only
wearing
Spider-Pig
pants.
got catapulted into the jumping castle and then went flying away, and then they could have done a funny throwback with it's just a little airborne. It's still good. It's still good.
It's gone.
I think that would have made me angry.
Yeah, probably.
All right, it's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, the episodes which the Simpsons could not exist without, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going first. Let me show you how it's done. Which part of the bottom part of the scale do I want to go? I'm going to go with participant. It didn't...
What?
I didn't hate it enough. Like, it was mostly boring. Like, good failures, build-ups and rage in me. This one, was fucking opioids. Sheridan, what would you like to rank it?
I thought we agreed there was another ranking, which is this.
That's 2 rankings. You got, and then blah.
Yeah, look, I'm going with failure. I'm sorry. I feel like it was just, nothing ended. Nothing was funny. It just failed,
there were two things that
failed
were
to
funny.
entertain me.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. It didn't entertain.
How about you, Simon? What would you like to rank?
Look, I'm going to go one step above failure. I'm not familiar with this rating system, so whatever that is. Participant, yeah. Mostly because, if I was in a coma but could still see, I wouldn't be too angry at the nurses when I woke up if that was on. It's better than Scrubs.
How about you, Pete? Where are you going?
Participant for the same reason as you. It didn't make me, rage at how shit it was. If a show ends and I'm like, I feel nothing because nothing occurred.
Yep.
All right. I mean, let's be honest. What else would I have done with that half hour of my life? So, yeah, participant for me.
Hey, we could say that for any episode. We have no lives.
That's true.
All right.
Now I'm sad.
We're spending our Saturday in Elliot's basement on a camp chair talking about The Simpsons.
It's not a basement. It's a converted garage.
Okay, sure.
More for you.
Does that make you feel better about this?
In my mum's house. All right, this will be a dull participant. It'll be the 6th episode from season 28 that will be giving this ranking. And among those that'll be joining is Dad Behavior, which we reviewed last week. This is where Grandpa thinks he got a woman pregnant. It turns out it was Jasper's baby all along, though.
Oh.
That's not an outcome. What the fuck?
I'm sorry. I'm going to need you to repeat that.
Yeah.
What?
It turns out everyone's getting frisky at the old folks' home, and then one of the women that Grandpa's been sleeping with reveals that she's pregnant. And then it turns out it was Jasper's baby, which they reveal by holding up an ultrasound that shows a fetus with a beard.
Is there also a syphilis outbreak?
What were the other...
I'm assuming they all have rickets.
Ever fucked with rickets? All right, let's leave this fucking thing behind and go for a slightly more recent episode where we're going to go review Mr. Spritz Goes to Washington.
I know this one. It's vaguely passable. It has
Yay.
some decent moments.
Don't rate it before it's time.
I'd like to give this one a vaguely passable.
I just ruined the whole podcast.
We'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched our Teens Era episode. This was Season 14, Episode 14, Mr. Spritz Goes to Washington. First released in March of '03, it was directed by Lance Kramer, written by John Swartzwelder. In this episode, the Simpsons have their new flight path is over their house, so they get Krusty to run for Congress to stop that. Hey, what do we think?
It's good.
Wonderful.
I like that episode.
It was better than the synopsis, actually.
Yeah.
Leads you to believe.
Yeah, it was. I quite enjoyed it.
It's one that I like to show to people along with, Yvonne Niage when people go, I only watch Simpsons up to season 10, the golden era. I'm like, no, there's still some good shit in the teen era. It does peter off pretty hard after season 15.
Peter off.
And you know something about petering off.
I petered off earlier today.
So did I.
Oh,
That was special. I
How
enjoyed
about you,
that.
Shaz? When was the last time you petered?
don't bring me into this.
We
This is
tried and
sinking
you said
ship.
no.
But no, this is actually in a handful of episodes that I've been like political episodes, especially that I've been hesitant to do for the last 4 years for some reason that I feel, a bit more less depressed about doing now. Especially this one, like, because it was in 2003. It's very much commenting on, the Bush era of, and this is like the start of Fox News as well.
Welcome to Fox. You're home for evil.
Yeah. And written by the Simpsons' most, conservative writers.
Yeah, that's it.
How you pronounce it? Schwartzwelder?
Schwartzwelder.
Can do pretty even-handed episodes. I wonder if he was really excited to finally get to write a really Republican-oriented episode.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, even his penned episodes, having the Republican House that are just depicted as being purely evil.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Transylvanian, even.
yeah, I heard you laugh particularly hard at that.
Yeah, I should
Bleh.
say it's not so much a pro-Republican
Bleh.
episode, but a less blatantly Democrat episode, I should say.
It's just one of my favorite of all Simpsons ever. That's one of my favorite things ever to happen is my good friend Frankenstein is now Franken Reagan.
That's such a dumb joke. I don't know how you get there.
I love it.
Well, Sheridan Reagan, is it, besides your favorite moment there, is there anything else that stands out to you from this episode?
Oh, everything stands out about this episode. I think it's just absolutely the best. I don't even know where to start.
Good call, Shregan.
But maybe I'll start from the start of my notes.
Sheridan.
Start from the very beginning. The old Stooges.
Oh,
Just wonderful.
I need a quarter for the bus.
I don't want to do this anymore.
So that's it. Like,
Wake up, Curly 4.
it got very depressing very quickly.
Just the walking in a circle, though. I need a quarter for the bus.
You reckon that's what poor Julie Kavanagh's going through right now?
Oh, leave Julie out of
Oh,
this.
come on.
Elliot, too far. We're usurping your podcast. So, Sheridan, please continue.
No, loved the Stooges bit. And then, look, just every comment on the democratic process in America and how broken it is, but done in such a hilarious way. And I think this episode is really one that did what The Simpsons set out to do to begin with. It's a satire in the truest sense. It's comment on our society, and in this case on politics, but done super successfully while also being entertaining and funny. And I think that's why The Simpsons of this era was so popular, because it related to everyone.
Yeah.
Kids found it funny because of the wacky gags. Adults who weren't quite into cartoons went, that's quite clever. I think it just has something for everyone, which that last episode we just watched did not. That had nothing for anyone. Particularly me.
Can that be the name of your autobiography?
Nothing for anyone.
Nothing for everything. The Shregan story.
How about you, Simon? What stood out to you from this episode?
Yeah, no, I particularly agree with Sheridan here. Like, they did that perfect thing where they actually stuck to a storyline, which was nice. But at the same time, they were just shotgunning jokes all the time. And I'd say about 80% of them landed quite solidly.
Yeah.
And the ones I found funniest were the ones that weren't meant to be the funniest, as far as like the writing felt. Like a
Okay.
lot of the ones that were very, very obvious jokes were the ones that I sort of didn't really bite on.
Yeah.
But a lot of like just like the normaler satire and like general commentary on the way of the world, especially back then. Like within 5 minutes, we had 2, maybe 3 stroke jokes,
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
which, I shouldn't, but I find quite funny.
Stroke victim, hey?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But like, even though they were shotgunning jokes the entire time, they managed to stick to what the hell they were actually trying to do
Yeah,
throughout
well,
the
that's-
episode.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with this era of Simpsons, and they're definitely getting into, that more rapid-fire joke factory sort of thing. And there are a couple of points in the story where I'm like, Okay, that, like, you didn't need to do that. Like, that bit at the end where Homer goes, and a plane leaves in a half hour, it's just like...
Yeah.
eh.
That's what I was referring to. It's like when they're trying to be funny, it's less funny when they're just rolling with it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. And to your point, you're right. I think the jokes in this episode were enhancements, not distractions.
Yeah.
Like in the last ones, not pointless cutaways that just completely distract from the story. It's just like, oh, haha, now back to the story.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even in this era of The Simpsons, there's a lot of, like, and then storytelling. But this one, yeah, you're right. Just had a through line and stuck to it. How about you, P? What stands out to you for better or worse?
I think it's not clever in the traditional sense, but it's really brilliant in how silly it is. So all the jokes are actually pretty lowbrow, but they work brilliantly. So it's actually a pretty brilliant kind of satire in that sense, like just blatantly saying, yeah, welcome back to Fox, your source for evil. That's not clever. That's so on the nose, but it's so on the nose that it works.
Yeah.
It's just true as well.
Yeah, well, yes.
I have a name. I'm sure you do, comrade.
You make a very adulterous point.
Can I say something? Yes, certainly, Congressman. He hasn't won yet.
And that's it.
Upside down with horns. And a commie flag in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly what you said. It sticks to a single plot. There's no B plot. It commits to it, and it just fires jokes at you constantly, and 80% of them land. The only thing that did stick out to me for worse, which was a product of its time, is there are gay jokes in this episode. There's the bit where he's like, she was a dude. I'm like, okay. And then the running news under the Fox thing, it said so-and-so turns out to be gay. I've forgotten who it
Oh,
was.
Joe Millionaire.
Well, we also
Something like that,
had
yeah.
Krusty being from San Francisco as well.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, that's a joke that I find hard to like because it's obviously doing the stereotypes and it's silly. It is like kind of like to watch, but then it's like San Francisco. Yeah, they're obviously so off the mark because it's meant to be the UN.
Yeah.
San Francisco is not in the UN.
The funny thing was, though, well, funny not in the ha-ha sense, but in the previous episode we watched, we were talking about, is that racist? That's a bit on the nose. And, the context of which jokes are just, considered offensive now when perhaps they weren't considered as offensive at the time. And they actually say that in this episode.
Yeah.
Krusty says, you can't judge me on that sketch. It was a different time.
Yeah.
1998.
Yeah, for this 2003 episode.
Exactly. But then this, the previous episode we watched, we were going still today in 2020. Well, whenever that was released, probably a couple of years ago.
I've got to admit, being in 2003, 2 years after a pretty big event for America, I'm surprised they did a plane driving into a building gag.
Oh,
That's true, actually. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Especially because this would have been in production in 2002 as well. It's just,
And 9/11 shaped the media landscape for at least a decade.
Yeah.
You couldn't do any plane stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good point, which is also one of the funniest dumb gags in the episode.
Yeah.
Where they crash,
Yeah.
he says,
Yeah.
sorry, and then reverses a plane.
that is so funny. Yeah, the plane having the reverse truck sound.
What about the Flanders? They must have been wiped out.
Oh, yeah. First mod dies a couple of years ago. Now I lost everything.
And now this.
My house has been destroyed again.
Ron and Todd are just fucking ashes.
Sucked into the jet engine. Anyway.
Jeez.
To me, it's peak silly Simpsons writing.
I was going to say, that peak sort of silly Simpsons writing, like, even the ending, sort of the way it comes together and everyone's got their part to do, it's all very silly. Homer just had to get someone drunk, and Lisa, all she had to do was paperclip something. But then again, that is a really good comment on the fucked up nature of politics. But the Simpsons have also already done it. It was the episode where the comet's about to hit Springfield, and they're like, got a bill for, providing emergency fund for Springfield, and then there was another bill attached. Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. They did do that. Yeah.
And they had when Sideshow Bob ran for office, and that was the Republican gag back in the day.
Yeah.
I was bummed actually because I forgot that the water cooler joke was from that episode, not this one. And I was waiting for that gag. I'm like, oh wait, it's the old when they're in Transylvania.
I actually noticed a few things in this episode that I'd never noticed before, and I think I've seen this episode upwards of 50 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And there were 3 things. Did you notice he falls off the roof and there's a cow noise?
Yeah.
For no
That was
reason.
some weird Foley going on there. Yeah.
And then when they're outside, Homer and Marge are outside while they're talking to Cookie Kwan, trying to sell the house, and they're strangely in different outfits for once. So Homer's in a suit, but Marge is in like an evening gown that's hot pink. And it's not explained why. Are they going somewhere?
I think they were
Is that
trying
them
to
dressing
dress
up
up
for
to
the-
show off the house.
Yeah, but it's like formal wear. It's not just like they have their Sunday best.
Sheridan, I don't know how you live, but
Well, when they tried to offer me 50 grand, I threw my caviar in their face.
I'm walking away.
No, connect.
Yeah, I do love the joke with Ralph offering 3 crayons and his milk.
well, that was one
I'm
more
walking
thing.
away.
For
It's a
better.
good deal.
Compared to the last episode we watched where they just bring up the townsfolk to be like, hey, where is Springfield? Whenever townsfolk appeared in this one, they fit in naturally.
Yeah.
Like, Ralph just appearing for a shitty bid is something that Ralph would possibly do, just being wandering around.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good comment on the nature of property agents as well.
Yes.
Apologies if there are any listening, but it's a good deal. I advise you take it. Oh, God. Everyone gets a raw deal with those guys.
Or girls. Sexist.
Oh, God. Audience, if only you could hear her eyes right now.
I'm enjoying this.
This has been a nice day. How about wackiness? Yeah, we talked about
So wacky.
planes flying into buildings and Ralph offering crayons. What else wacky happened in this episode?
Oh, geez, where do we start?
The congressman stealing lamps.
Yeah. Fat Tony blowing his nose with a piece of pizza.
Oh, yeah, this was another,
That was,
very off-the-time joke.
Yeah,
Why
the-
was I born a man?
The
Yeah.
lead up to it is really funny, and I think that's why you giggle at that joke because he's still laughing at the bit where he goes, "The boss, he's got a thing for the yayas."
Yeah.
Like, that's brilliant. And then
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also a joke of its time because that was, back when you were all forced to watch the one movie on a plane. It would usually be
Yeah.
fucking Yaya Sisterhood or Yentl or some shit.
3 funerals and a wedding was a big one.
Yeah?
Yep. Well, 3 weddings and a
4
funeral.
weddings and a funeral?
So I think I just made up some sort of
Funerals and a
dark
wedding.
version of that movie.
where you just a trip that you went on one time.
Probably.
Just
Very aggressive.
rewriting the script. Fuck, I want that 2 grand to die.
It's got one of my favorite lines of all time. If I stop pedaling, I'll die.
But, I mean, I think all that stuff happened pretty organically and, the wackiness.
Yeah, it's all grounded.
Yeah, that gets to spring off from that. Yeah, totally.
And once again, it's all still relevant.
Yeah. It's shockingly relevant. It's
Yeah.
depressingly relevant.
At one point, something happened, and I said, "Voter fraud." As Bart, when
Yeah,
Bart admitted
yeah.
he'd voted, multiple times.
He
Yeah.
didn't admit to anything,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, he didn't admit to anything. That's
leading
right.
the witness.
That's it. This isn't about me or how many times I voted.
Thanks, Rudy. Topical.
Yeah, actually, to that point, this is an episode that's really stood the test of time.
Depressingly,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
depressingly. But God, the themes really stand up, even particularly today.
Yeah. Oh, well, Lisa's comment is like, oh, sure, entertainers are always winning
Yeah,
seats
we
in
all
politics.
groaned.
Yeah, I felt our collective eyeballs roll at that
Yeah.
one.
But yeah, it's just like, 03, you don't know how far it'll go.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Now Kane is also a congressman or something.
And wasn't that around
You're not going
when...
to fuck with him.
No.
Was that
Kane.
when...
He's the big red machine. Why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, he's a Republican too. He literally is the big red machine.
Was that around when Arnie got elected as well? Was that early 2000s or was that later?
The governor.
Yeah.
God, that must have been like 07 or something, right?
Right. Because he was Republican, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only time California
It's
went red.
so American
Yeah.
that most of their
So weird.
politicians could beat the shit out of anyone.
Yeah,
like
that's all.
Jesse the Body Ventura, Kane, for God's sake, and Arnie.
Yeah.
We've just got Scott Morrison doing bar A.
Jesus. I'm just waiting for Joe Rogan to get involved, and then the whole country's just going to set
Oh,
on fire
God.
immediately.
I saw a great meme the other
DMT
day.
for everybody.
Yeah, that's really interesting, but have you ever tried mushrooms?
I saw a great meme the other day where it was Scott Morrison with his Australian flag face mask on, holding a schooner of beer, and underneath it's Homer and Lenny and Carl at Moe's going, he's never drank a beer in his life.
I would also like to express my preference for that particular beverage. Boo.
But how about the heart of this episode? Did we get it in the emotions for this one? What was that question?
Wasn't that kind of an episode?
Nah.
Mildly at the end, but not really.
Yeah.
Oh no, felt a little bit for the family when they were clearly sleep deprived from listening to plane noise. I know you were particularly...
That's
Oh,
our
boy.
life.
That's our life right now.
Yeah,
Except it's jackhammers instead of planes.
like I feel so bad for you guys, like because the last couple of weeks the neighbors have been like doing massive renovations, but you know it's been starting at reasonable times, like 8 or 9, and you know it's at least a house away.
No, our construction site workers are basically, they operate like a bar. Like, you know, we're open 7 a.m. till late.
Oh,
Yeah.
They don't specify. They
Usually-
just keep going.
Usually we hit 80 decibels at 7:15 in the morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
rough.
I'm out at 8:16 or 7:16, and then I get home just after they finish.
The sound of my teeth grinding is louder than the jackhammers these days. So I do relate, back to the episode, I do relate to their hair falling out, the bloodshot eyes because they haven't gotten enough sleep, the anxiety. Oh, man.
You bouncing along on the toilet is the noises.
I've had this dream before.
And like I didn't plan this episode to have this, you know, common thread with your life, but like I felt so bad because when you
Good to know.
when you guys arrived, yeah, they were going nuts next door, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you're trying to escape the fucking construction noise of your house to come here.
Not me.
It
And
doesn't
then
end.
we cover an episode where it's all about loud noises.
Hey, yes, exactly. We live in Sydney. It's never going to end.
No, that's right.
Things are going pretty good at my home life. It's quiet.
Yeah. Are you under the flight path?
The old flight paths. I only
Yeah.
use it when they have to.
You know what?
And there's been no fucking planes at the moment, so...
Well, that's the thing. When we chose to move into this place a few months ago, that was something we didn't even consider because there were no planes. No one was going anywhere. And then all of a sudden now, I'm like, oh, plane noise. Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Whoops. They're where they belong, over the houses of poor people. Except those poor people are us.
Yeah.
We need a congressman. Who's a local celebrity we can...
Casey Donovan. Apparently she lives in our building.
Perfect.
I don't think she's a celebrity
Congresswoman
anymore,
Casey.
unfortunately.
Casey Congressman.
Casey for
Woman.
Congress. We don't have Congress
I
here.
don't have jokes.
Oh, yeah, we don't either, do we?
You call this a bicameral legislature?
She says, waving around her bottle of bourbon. Yeah, this isn't an emotional episode, but did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? These are characters we know and love.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it rang really true.
It didn't feel like a classic episode of The Simpsons. It very much felt like a teen era Simpsons, but I feel like that era has its own identity too.
No, that's right. And, like, the problems I have with it are more about, like, the convenient storytelling side of things. But, yeah, like you said, it's not the classic era, but it was damn still entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just... I'm sorry that I'm sympathizing with a racist joke, but... Oh, my cheese. She stinks. It's still one of my favorites.
I just like to put out that Simon and I didn't laugh then. Simon, thank you for your cultural sensitivity.
Cold, judgmental look.
I'll just go and fuck myself.
With your cheese. Oh, no, I'm part of it.
Inappropriate, Sheridan.
Inappropriate. Blah.
But speaking of character, anyway, it was nice to see Krusty on the ropes in this one as well. It wasn't just immediate success, and it got to get into the whole political commentary of it. That once you get in there, it doesn't mean shit. You still have to play the game and deal with hotheads.
You gotta pee in a bucket until your second term.
Grover Cleveland did what? Lest we forget. Yes or no? Would you watch this episode again?
Absolutely.
Have and
good.
will.
Yeah,
I like this
no
one.
doubt.
You've just had your phone out, just been watching it this whole time.
No, honestly, I am. Yeah, I've been scrolling through the mountains of notes I took because I didn't realize how many iconic jokes are in this episode. The ones that just get quoted constantly. So many of them come from this one.
Such as?
Such as, well, let me just
on.
refer to my notes here. No, honestly, just,
maybe
the
not so
Republican
iconic.
stuff. Oh, one of my favorite parts of this episode. Homer performs CPR.
That's
I see a
CCR.
bad moon rising.
All right, stop. We're going to get copyright flagged. You can't sing it.
Oh, surely they should be in the public domain by now.
Oh, even, vote Quimby, vote Quimby, vote Quimby, vote Quimby.
All right, I like the joke of, they diverted the flight past because it was interfering with animals' mating habits. So he took all the way to have this sex and to hear her voice for the first time.
You have a great understanding of human intimacy there, Elliot.
When they
Tonight when
I
we
have
go out,
travelled far to
Would
have
you like
this
to
sex.
do the sex?
tonight when we go out for drinks afterwards, I hope to meet someone where I can have this sex.
Milady, may I have this fuck?
May I have this fuck?
It's a 2 and a 13 while she's 11 and you're 5.
Oh, sorry. You were saying going all the way out somewhere to have this sex.
Anyway, they'd had sex and then he heard her voice. Anyway, the flight path has been diverted for weeks by now. Anyway.
Well, he's also had enough time to build her an opera house.
Yeah, that's true.
I
That's
do like
months.
that it was talking about, really, if you examine that for a sec, a broken governmental system at the local level and at the federal level. Well, do they call it federal over there? National? I don't know.
It's just a firehouse.
Just Quimby being the most corrupt person of all time.
And a Democrat.
And a Democrat, that's right.
I am no longer illiterate.
Yeah. I do like with The Simpsons, they attack the Republicans relentlessly, but they also attack the Democrats.
Yeah.
They're just, very bipartisan, I suppose, in the sense that they are both disenchanted and disillusioned.
Yeah, well, like the episode with Stampy when he walks through both the Democratic and Republican conventions. It's the Republican banners are, we're pure evil, we hate everybody. And the Democrats are, we can't govern, we're complete wussbags. All right, well, yeah, episodes we want to watch again, we like to think about what playlist we'd put them in. So what are some other Simpsons episodes that would pair nicely well with this one?
The episode where Lisa goes to the museum and gets on the wrong bus because I need a quarter for the bus.
Bus playlist, gotcha.
Should have got off and cracked it.
Don't make me tap the sign. Yeah, political episodes. We already mentioned Sideshow Bob running for mayor and...
Just other rapid fire ones. Like, I know we say that era is really defined by rapid fire writing and jokes and whatnot, but this one is certainly right up there as one of the fastest episodes, like Join the Navy. What is that episode actually called? I keep talking about New Kids on the Blech.
Yes.
Yeah, like that's another rapid fire one, and I think those two back to back would be great. You'd laugh solidly for an hour and then fall asleep.
Yeah.
You could go with a
hour.
playlist about problems with their house.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
They sink into the ground at one point and there's plane noise. What else happens to that house?
Homer builds Hugh his own little bedroom, and then he falls onto the manure.
That's right. Yep.
Oh, in the episode with Sideshow Bob, he's going to knock down the house to build the Matlock Expressway.
Yes. That's right.
Matlock Expressway.
What would you like to change about this episode, Sheridan? How would you improve it?
Oof. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
I thought it was great. As I said, I think it set out to do what The Simpsons did. I know it so well by this point, it's hard to pick it apart.
Right.
It's an episode I've grown up with my whole life.
Oh.
Yeah, so nothing.
Isn't that sweet?
How about you, Simon?
Going back to that whole 80% landing, 20% failure thing, it only failed when it felt like they didn't trust their writing.
Yeah, right.
So I wish they just ran with it and just trusted themselves a bit, just to
That's
know
a good-
the audience would laugh instead of
That's an
trying to
interesting
push it out
point.
every once in a while, going, we need a joke.
And if you look at a lot of the jokes that didn't actually land were the ones that always happened right before there'd be a commercial cut.
Yeah.
So they'd sort of sneak it in, it felt like, they wouldn't commit
It's like,
to
we
it.
need something
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. That's a very interesting point.
Oh,
How about you, Peter?
I know it's a product of its time, but I'd strip the gay jokes. It's not 2000 and
Was that a gay joke?
doesn't have to be.
Ooh.
This is going to be the
Mouth
podcast.
noises?
Sexy.
You know what?
Yeah, no, I definitely pull out the gay jokes, but the rest of it, it's perfect wacky Simpsons for me. Pull out, damn it, fuck. I would sit down, take the script, and remove my clothes.
May I contradict, if I may?
Dicked.
with the utmost respect, I would leave that in because I didn't get the vibe that it was like the previous episode that we were just uncomfortable with a joke that was made. This was more a comment on him making inappropriate jokes, I thought.
And also, I don't think the jokes were particularly malicious.
No,
No.
I see what you're saying, but I felt like whenever those jokes came, it wasn't just that they were gay jokes at their time. They were indicative of how easy it was to make a really lazy written joke just by saying they're gay. So his whole punchline was, "It turns out she was a man," and there is
yes. No, that
sort
one
of
I
thing.
would. That one I would change.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was just like, the joke is like, "Oh my god, she was trans,"
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I was thinking more of on the Krusty Show, that throwback.
No, that one, that one.
No,
I'm
the
okay with.
transphobic joke, that one wasn't good.
One thing I do really respect Disney for, and I suppose talking about The Simpsons, we have
Choose
to
your
talk about
words
Disney.
carefully,
Disney.
Simon.
Yeah, I know. There's not a lot. But one thing I do really respect Disney for is keeping all their old content and just having a thing at the beginning saying,
Yeah.
look, this was a sign of the times and we changed our ways. Sorry about this, but, we're not going to erase
Yeah,
the
it says,
past.
but it's important to learn from this.
Yeah.
And I think this episode's an
HBO does that too in the
exact
States.
same sort of situation,
Yeah.
Let's not ignore that people thought that sort of humor was funny.
Yeah, I think censorship is a slippery slope. And some things I think it's appropriate not to air ever again. But, overwhelmingly, I think it's by erasing the past, no one's ever going to learn from it.
I should qualify them what I was saying in that context. I fully agree with you. But when you said, is there anything you would change if I could go back in the past, I'd just tap them on the shoulder and say, this joke is just lazy and the punchline is transphobic. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I mean.
Just be better.
But if someone said to me, edit this episode in 2020, I go, well, no, because we need to, we can't forget that. If you forget the past, you're doomed to repeat it, as they say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, that's what I mean in that context.
Well, that's sort of what my problems with the episode is as well. And there's definitely a lot of those moments where you can go, okay, that's the character doing that. And where they do the UN thing and when Krusty's at the women's meeting and stuff. It's just, but it's also those jokes that he's making, which is meant to be shocking. And they're like, oh, as if you would. You still have to sit through them.
Yeah.
And they're laid on so thick and both those parts go on for so long that I'm like, oh, there was a much quicker way to convey that point that he's not perfect,
Yeah, they're probably the only points in the episode where the jokes aren't rapid fire, now that you mention it. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
And, we noticed as well, this is just getting into the more techie side of things, but there were a lot of ADR issues in this episode.
A whole bunch.
A lot of dialogue replacement and lip sync not matching up and
Walter Mondale in
At the end.
Yeah, that was weird. And I have noticed that before watching this episode. I just think, is it a mistake? Is it intentional?
Or did they re-record some lines after it was animated?
No, that's it. They had a much more thorough process of building the show back in the day with, when there was hand-drawn. They'd have to go through several animatic stages, which they'd revisit these jokes, and if they weren't landing on the 30th time, they'd cut them. So on this time, they've kind of already animated the episode, and so making changes, they do these ADR moments where they just say, oh, fuck it, this bit's out of lip sync.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if you look at really early TV shows and things like that, and even early movies, there's tons of those issues because they never predicted the home video market. So it's it airs once, they watch it at the movies once, they're never going to see it again. You watch old James Bond movies, and there's tons of ADR shit where there's we don't care because no one's going to watch this again after they see it at the cinemas.
Wow.
So with this now, you watch it on home video repeated times, and you see this stuff you might not have noticed in the first broadcast.
But we're also nerds.
Yeah.
So we notice this shit, and it annoys us too much.
Yeah.
Most people would just be like, oh, I don't care.
Well, yeah, and someone pointed out to me recently is that they were making these shows on screens smaller than the average house has now. So, we're picking up on details that they were like, you know what, the CRT cancer-causing big back TVs aren't going to show this, whatever. All right, we are here. Sheridan, do you have any other notes about this episode?
I think we all laughed our heads off at Mo saying, the government wants to shut me down because the pipes under my toilet don't lead nowhere.
Yeah.
Those pipes will lead to freedom or a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of silliness that I really liked. Just that sort of lighthearted, he's doing a campaign appearance on the train tracks.
That's a parody of a real thing.
Is it?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll look it up, but it was an actual...
It's definitely a real thing, yeah.
I've forgotten who it was. It was... Grover Cleveland?
And people had to bail from the train tracks as they were...
not actually.
I don't think that part happened. Look out for the 411.
Yeah, no, Grover Cleveland's too early.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be
who it
surprised because, Simpsons have several of these, because they do love, commenting on American politics and, I remember one episode there was, a politician holding a dog up by its ears, and apparently that's something that Lyndon Johnson used to do.
Right.
He was a dog lover, but every time, someone go, oh, Mr. President, here's my dog, he'd just, pick them up by the ears.
Oh.
That's a bit rough.
Yeah.
In the process of looking this up, apparently after this episode, they no longer made gags about news tickers along the bottom because Fox News got so furious with them.
Daddy Fox was not happy with this one.
There you go. They still were allowed to parody Fox,
They
but
were still
not Fox
allowed
News.
to call them the home of evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Actually, that's another thing I'd change in this episode, and really for this whole era of The Simpsons. The year before, I think it was, they did the Brazil episode, and Brazil was not happy about that.
No, they hate it.
Pulled it from syndication, lots of public hatred of The Simpsons, but The
Tell
Simpsons...
you the truth, all the international episodes suck.
Well, there was a lot of there was a lot of kickback from the Australia episode as well.
Oh, no, this is what's funny about
But now
that one.
I love it.
Yeah.
The Aussie episode, the Americans were like, "Oh, Australians are going to hate that," and we were just like, "Yeah, it was fine."
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
There were a lot of
Mr.
Australians
Prime
who
Minister!
weren't okay.
Yeah.
Andy!
Andy!
Hello, lads. What's the good word?
No, I mean, no, to your point, Simon, there was a loud minority, and it was mostly like the shock jocks, the
Yeah, of course.
Stan Zamarniks and the fucking Ray
Oh,
Hadleys.
that's
Is
a
that
name
another
I
one?
haven't heard in a long time.
Oh,
Stan
Jesus.
Zamarnik.
Because
fucking hell.
thank fuck he's dead.
Yes.
Whoa.
Stan Zamarnik can fucking rot in his dumb grave. He's a piece of shit.
Oh, fair enough.
Was a piece of shit.
I like this podcast.
Well, no, technically he probably is still a piece of shit.
Yes.
I suppose he can't
far
sue
more
you from the
literally
grave.
now.
The problem is his pipes don't go nowhere.
Sorry, did you have more notes? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't finish my part. Yeah, and they had another anti-Brazil joke in this because, yeah, around this time, the Simpsons were like, oh, Brazil didn't like it. We'll just keep inserting little Brazil jokes. And, yeah, this one
Ah.
wasn't great either. I
Yeah,
don't remember
right.
what it was.
Mr.
but-
Teeny's from Brazil.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
Oh,
his
I love
uncle's the
Mr.
head of
Teeny.
tourism.
Yeah, that's right. I did like Krusty's impression of a non-Jewish white rich man. I'm Carlton Witherspoon III. Where is my 5-iron?
Yeah, I got slightly triggered by that, being a golfer
Simon felt
myself.
attacked.
but,
It's true.
that's all right.
Hey, we live
You
under
threw
the
your-
flight path. How much do you really relate to that?
Are you guys up on the roof with a rake every day?
Yeah, should be.
Shovel, but yeah.
Man, the rig. How about you, Simon? Any other things from this episode you want to mention?
I was pleasantly surprised. I hadn't seen this episode for yonks. I was just really happy with the pacing of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Like, compared to the episode before that, it just flew by.
Yeah.
It felt like 10 minutes of just laughing and then roll credits.
No, that's it. And yeah, this era of The Simpsons as well, the episodes were shorter because Fox wanted to fit in more commercials. So this
Right.
episode was actually probably about 2 or 3 minutes shorter than the one we just watched before, yeah.
It
Was.
It felt
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was.
so much shorter. The other one felt like it was a year long.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
classic and HD Simpsons averaged 22 minutes. Teens averaged 19, 20 minutes.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you'd be surprised, but 3 minutes in entertainment is a long time.
Oh yeah, that's actually why. Like,
but 3 minutes in advertising.
you can always tell when the writers don't have a full episode because the couch gags go for longer.
Exactly, and this one was just straight in.
Yeah.
How about you, Pete? Any other?
No, this is the problem with me sitting at the end of all the people on the podcast today. They already covered what I wanted to say. So
Yeah, next time we got to start the other way.
All right. We're going to mix it all up.
I've got so much to say.
I got a few things. I love that the second the swear jar breaks, Marge takes the opportunity to say,
Nutty Fudgekins.
Oh, yeah.
Nutty Fudgekins. I hated the fucking Joe Millionaire promo joke at the
Me
start.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, and even before your CCR joke, Sheridan, I liked that congressman.
Looks like we're in for nasty weather.
Copyright strike. Copyright strike.
Makes my blood boil. My left arm numb.
Taste cover.
Also, it tastes copper.
Oh, yeah, Krusty's whole 13 while she's 11ing your 5. And then he's like, no 12 off my ass.
Yeah.
Oh,
What was the 12?
I have been trying to figure out what the 2 whatever it was while she's 11 in year 5 for years.
well, you know what that's a reference to?
No.
No skin off my ass.
It's the 13 jokes you can't say on television.
Oh,
it's an
the
actual
Carlin bit,
stand-up
yeah.
bit.
Is that an
yeah,
actual
yeah, it's
thing?
an actual thing.
In America? Like
Yeah, it's a
FCC
joke.
or?
Yeah, who'd you say it was?
George Carlin.
George Carlin, yeah.
And then
yeah.
Blink-182
Yeah, right.
did a song that was just that.
You remember Family Reunion? Shit, piss, fuck, cunt,
Ah, yeah,
cock,
yeah,
sucker,
yeah.
mother. That's a joke about it.
Turd and twat.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
fucked your mom. Oh, Blink-182.
Sorry, yeah, the 13 words you can't
Catchy.
say on television, and that was the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a parody
Uh-huh.
of. Sorry, I did think of something I had to say. I wrote it down when Krusty thinks Bart is sick, and the hat says, Krusty's the cure. It's just such a,
Yeah.
it's such a cynical gag when he
Yeah.
shoves the hat on him. And get your mum to return the hat when,
You know.
You know.
Sorry, go on, Elliot.
Not even remembering that Bart's like saved his life several times by
Yeah.
this point as well.
Hey, I do love that Krusty just forgets who he is at every start of every episode.
Yeah. Also, the scene where they're having the 3-bean salad at the Krusty fundraiser dinner, it was just, all of it was pointless, I thought.
Yeah,
No,
I didn't understand that whole scene at
I
all.
thought it was a comment on the $100 a plate fundraiser. It was,
Yeah, but it was at the Simpsons home. There
Yeah.
was clearly no one else there. And if it
Yeah.
was an excuse for Bart not to have Milhouse around, and then it was just a joke for Krusty to go, I could get you someone whacked. It's a joke. Yeah.
when you make that face, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It was a long road to get there. Yeah. Yeah, that's all my notes. Time to rank this thing. And Sheridan, kick it off.
No, Peter, kick it off. We're going the other way.
Yeah. whoa.
I give it a gold because I do find it really entertaining. It's a fun episode, even though it's not particularly like it's probably a strong silver, a shiny silver, a dull gold. In that if you really do sit down and break it down, you're like, it's not particularly brilliant, but it's brilliant because it's not particularly brilliant, if you know what I mean. But the other pieces that aren't there, specifically the heart, aren't what make this, a classic episode. And it still doesn't quite get up to the wacky levels that make this wacky era so fun, but it's so damn close. And I wouldn't put any teen era Simpsons in cubic zirconia. I think
it's a difficult choice to make.
yeah, but certainly
I just think it's straight up illegal.
New Kids on the Block was definitely a strong gold for me. So I think that's sort
New
of my
Kids
pick.
on the Blue.
On the blue.
Oh God.
Yeah, let's go a dull gold.
How about you, Simon? Which one?
Yeah, I'm right in the same ship as Peter here. It's got to be somewhere in between silver and gold for me.
All right.
Really good, but only if you don't think about it too much.
So which one are you picking, gold or silver?
You're gonna make me do this?
You got to pick.
It's gonna be a silver then.
All right. How about you, Shiz?
Well, it's unanimous. I think we're all thinking dull gold, shiny silver, and since he went silver, I'm going to go gold.
Yeah.
To even it
Even
out.
yeah. Get that average up.
Yeah, exactly. Silver to me seems not quite generous enough because I think commentary-wise, this was spot on. Gag-wise, it was spot on a lot of the time. Not all the time, but as I said, there are so many iconic jokes just packed into the one episode, I think.
Yep. And I'm going a silver as well. It's just a lot of fun. But yeah, like I've said it several times, there's a few dud scenes and not quite the strong story that I was after. But
Just don't think about it.
exactly. It's a don't think about it
Just
episode.
like voting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't do
Oh,
it.
now I'm sad.
Yeah.
Please deeply consider voting. All right.
Deeply consider.
2 golds, 2 silvers. That falls right in between gold and silver. But on this podcast, when it's an even split, I average up because I'm nice. So this will be a dull gold. It's actually the first episode from season 14 to be considered a dull gold. But another episode we'll be joining is the one time Sheridan gave a cubic zirconia to a Teens Era episode, which was Simple Simpson, the Pie Man episode.
Hi, man.
Yeah.
That is a terrible well, not terrible, but it's not great.
Have I ever given a cubic zirconia?
That was your first and only.
Wow. Hi, man. I can't even remember that episode.
Oh my God.
How much had you been drinking that day?
Oh, hi.
Was I asleep?
It was back
Was-
at the dank, so maybe a lot. That
You
was
sure it wasn't an absentee vote while I was sleeping?
No, I do remember that episode because, yeah, you fell asleep right before we did Bard on the Road.
Or it was
You have a soothing voice. What can I say?
it was Sheridan's evil twin, Shregan.
Old Sheddy.
Sheddy, old sheds.
Shregan.
Oh, yeah, we started calling you Sheridan Reagan, but we forgot all about Shed.
She's
sake.
feeling a little rusty.
All right, let's go.
You're all cunts.
Let's go do the classic era. We're going to go watch the episode called Brother from the Same Planet. Is this ringing any bells for anyone?
It's an Unky Herb episode, isn't it? No, which one is
thank
it?
God.
Oh, no, Bigger Brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good one. All right.
Is this is even more painful than it looks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Papa Homer.
Yeah, give me that.
Pepsi. Yep. All right, we'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched our classic and final episode for the day. This was Season 4, Episode 14, Brother from the Same Planet. First released in February of 1993, it was directed by Jeffrey Lynch, written by John Vitti. In this episode, this is the Big Brother episode. We were saying it before with Peppy. Hey, what do we think?
I prefer Coca-Cola.
I love you, Pepsi.
What a story, Mark.
Hold roll.
Yeah, it was good.
Yes.
Sorry, back to the podcast.
Yeah. Good
I liked
fun.
it.
Yeah, of course. It's old Simpsons. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I will say there was some kind of weird pacing in this episode.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
It's kind of towing the line between well-paced classic Simpsons and a little bit fast at the same time. It felt like they had too many ideas and sort of kind of crammed them all in.
Yeah.
It ebbed and flowed in a bit of a weird way.
Yeah, and jumping on that, what stood out to me, for better or worse, was there were some good bits in it, but I feel like the Lisa story was very tacked on.
Yeah.
And it just kind of ended.
One of my notes
Yes.
is it's a rare example of the B-plot in Golden Era Simpsons where the B plot doesn't integrate with the A plot at all.
Yeah.
There's no intertwining
Yeah,
whatsoever.
it was completely removed, wasn't it?
The only time they interact is at the very beginning where Marge and Lisa are walking out and they say, pick up Bart.
Yeah.
That's it.
Homie, I can see your doodle.
Shut up, Flanders.
I love the rhythm of that. Like, homie, I can see you doodle. Got to get Shag to do one of his remixes to that.
I think it goes to show as well that the Flanderses became a lot more conservative as the seasons went on.
Mm.
You know, if Homer was naked in front of Flanders these days, it'd be like, holy, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of a Flanderism.
Holy doodly.
Holy doodly. Exactly.
Great Chodorito.
That is not canon.
I think I said 3 out of 4 people in this room regularly watch Always Sunny. Homer hangs dong.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
What? I missed that reference.
In Always Sunny,
Yeah.
when they
Dude hangs dong.
Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, of
Lundgren.
course.
Lundgren, how do you pronounce it? Yeah.
Lundgren.
The same as Todd.
Thundergun.
He's thundergunning the shit out of her.
How about you, Pete? What stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
This always stands out to me in early seasons of The Simpsons, how much smoking there is. The episode
Right.
starts with Nelson punching darts, and he's like 8 years old.
Punching darts.
I think actually it's the first time I've watched this one with a critical eye, for want of a better word, where I've actually sat down and analysed it. And this is really Homer at kind of his worse, I find, which is, you know, simultaneously for better and for worse. Like, Homer is motivated by revenge in the entire episode. And that's kind of fucked, you know?
Well, that the Big Brother organization have a slot for him to be motivated by revenge on their Fallout form, yeah.
There was also malice.
Yeah.
That's true.
And spite.
Yeah.
Worse yet, revenge against his neglected son.
Yeah. And while it's still a really good episode, I do think the writing's actually kind of flawed in a way because, like, they set up what's going to happen pretty quickly. You know, they both go off with their respective big brothers. They play that gag for the episode. And then the ending is Bart just forgives Homer without any explanation as to why. He sees his dad get beaten up. And I'm like, oh, is that how he proves he's a good father? Because he gets the shit kicked out of him. Homer never apologizes, except for the half-assed attempt at the start where he tries to blame Bart as much as him.
Well, with the Sunday on the head.
Yeah. And
that horrific shot of Homer's face melting in
brilliant,
Bart's eyes.
the
brilliant
hellish,
animation.
yeah.
Oh, fucking
Give
hell, it
me
looks
a
fantastic. So yeah, I still really like this episode, but this is the first time I've watched it where I've thought, actually, this is probably not as brilliant as Golden Age Simpsons often is.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and right in the
Yeah, I
heart...
got that vibe too. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, right in the heart of season 4 as well, where this is definitely like The Simpsons firing on all cylinders. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was surprised as well. How about you, Simon? What stands out to you, for better or worse?
Like, look, it wasn't the greatest of the oldies.
Mm.
Of course, I love it, but that's just my bias.
Yeah. No, there was
I'm
still...
sort of flip-flopping on it.
Yeah, so am I. Like, I'm really interested to see how the rankings go on this one because there
Yeah.
are definitely some iconic moments in it, like petered throughout. Like,
Yo.
Well, like there is one moment that I did say to you all when we were watching. I was like, I think that's the first and only time we ever see Nelson's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right. First appearance of Mr. Muntz, this time played by guest star of this episode, Phil Hartman, who's also playing Tom, the big brother,
Troy
and
McClure.
sports. Pardon?
Blonde Troy McClure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so eventually he goes out for a pack of cigarettes, and yeah,
Never comes back.
Never comes back.
well, he does come back.
Maybe
because...
that's why Nelson quit smoking.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
he never got his pack of smokes.
He didn't quit. He just ran out.
Oh, poor Nelson.
Can't go by himself. Even though I'm pretty sure Nelson's like about 26.
Yeah.
So wait, you said he does come back. Is that a later season thing?
Season 16 or something like that. They found Nelson's dad had been working at a freak show circus, but he was only hired by the freak show circus because he was having a severe case of anaphylactic shock from people throwing peanuts at him.
Yeah.
Of course.
Papa, can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yeah. So, yeah, that was that. How about you, Sheridan? What stands out to you, for better or worse?
I think the episode was slow, pace-wise. I really felt like it sort of dragged in parts. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's just all of that sort of early era. It's a lot slower paced than what the most recent ones are.
It's such an interesting comparison with the teens one that we watched, where like that was so
Yeah.
rapid fire and moving through its paces, and even the bits that I thought were like, they didn't necessarily drag as much though.
But this is the thing with this one. There are moments, and this is why you were saying the pacing felt off. It does get really rapid fire at some points, especially when they establish Lisa's B plot, and they're bouncing between them really quickly, and it's sort of going bam, 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 bam. And for a good, in the second act, there's a good 5 minutes of just constant jokes, which I think is to its detriment in a way, because it is a heartfelt episode, and you've got a wacky B, not wacky, but a bit more of a wacky B plot, you know?
And that was probably going to be the second point that I make, that it is a heartfelt episode, but I don't feel that it finally got there in the end. Like what these guys were just saying about Homer never really apologized, there was a big fist fight, and then at the end, the child who has previously been neglected and then a target of revenge by his father is then just shown bringing him beers, another beer. I'm just like,
Well,
It was the 90s. It was a different time back then.
1998.
seeing your father, who you thought was basically like your overlord, getting beaten up, it humanizes him.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Well, I mean, I like that Bart tried to take lessons from that, and it's a really sweet moment, even as horrible as it is. Tell me about the time you kicked his back in again, Dad.
Yeah.
Well, see, I like that part, because in the early seasons, and this is probably a rare example where this isn't really that forward in these earlier seasons, where Homer in the early seasons, say early seasons one more time, Peter.
Earlier seasons one more time, Peter.
There was a big glare there. Homer's a fucking selfish moron, but well-meaning, and he really tries his best. And the ending, I think, at least sort of nails that, where the way he bonds as a father is telling his son how to beat someone up, So he's trying his best. But yeah, for the rest of the episode, he's just selfish, and I did think the ending was okay in that respect. But
yeah, I think the for better stuff for me is the stuff that had nothing to do with either A or B plot, and that is the old Krusty bits.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. The SNL.
He was great in this
The
one.
SNL burns are amazing in this episode. 'Cause
Yeah.
this
Worst
is-
name for a cereal ever, by the way. Old crusty bits.
Oh, Krusty bits. Krusty bits.
My favorite.
This goes on, not unlike this podcast, for 12 more minutes.
No, we got a great show for you tonight. Actually, the second half's a real garbage dump.
And then it cuts to the musicians.
the 90s ponytail guitarist.
Oh, 90s session musician.
Yeah, doing Becca music. That's what I call it.
This actually,
the typical
Becca
bass
music.
player facing away from the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
it did make me want to go up and learn a bit more about SNL history, because from the little bit that I know, 80s SNL is like the SNL period. You got the Blues Brothers, obviously, and all that
Eddie
sort of
Murphy.
stuff. And then they all left to do other things. So I don't know if early 90s SNL was really shit and that's what this was a piss take of, or...
I think it was more just a piss take of the overall talk show format.
Right.
They're just, we got a great show for you, and then stupid music, and, I think it was...
Well, yeah, I think SNL and Mad TV and, sketch shows around that time all fall into the same trap where, they're not well-crafted sketches, but they're more like character explorations.
Yeah.
People talk about the classic days of SNL, and it's like... The jokes aren't that funny. It's just that, fucking Aykroyd, Murray, and Belushi and all that were, really charismatic. And when they sunk into characters, that was what was memorable, not, individual jokes being really
It wasn't the writing, it was the performance.
Yeah, well, you look at that and fucking, now we're going on to the SNL portion of the podcast. What's his name? Jim Farley. Was that, Farley? Was that his name?
Chris Farley?
Chris Farley.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Jim,
I was like,
Jim
Jim
Farley,
is
the
not
long-lost
right.
brother.
No, I know where I got mixed up. It was Jim Belushi. John Belushi's
Far less heart
shitty,
attacks.
less entertaining brother. Chris Farley, same thing. Really brilliant performer, not great material, but knew how to make that crappy material work.
Yeah.
But back to The Simpsons.
Yeah. It's a worthwhile comment, but I still think it's really funny that they had, awkward drag-out jokes to drag a show for having awkward, long drag-out jokes. Yeah. So, play count. Have we ever seen this episode before?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Many a time.
No, there was just, moments where, you could have been saying it in sync, some of the quotes coming out of the room. It was actually, it's a lovely part of getting to the classic era.
And I seem to remember it was one of those ones where even though Channel 10, for those of us who didn't have pay TV growing up, Simpsons was on all the time, and then you get the new episodes on Sundays. Remember Simpsons Sundays? That was when the new ones were on.
Yeah.
But even in the repeat ones, for some reason, that one was on all the time. It was a really regularly repeated episode.
It was fairly regular.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Because we've spoken about this phenomenon a lot about, which is your like most repeated episode. And for me, this was one that I actually felt like wasn't the case. And I guess it's because you're catching it on different nights, I suppose. But like, Mr. Plow was that one for me where I actually got exhausted of it as a kid. I'd seen it that many times. Anyway, was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons? How'd they take advantage of the cartoony elements?
I don't think it was particularly wacky,
No.
especially comparing it to the other two.
Yeah.
Except the fight scene at the end.
Well, this hurts more than it looks.
Oh, yeah, but throwing starfish is totally normal.
I will always remember that. I will always remember that to the day I die. Is Homer folding backwards over a fucking fire.
Oh, and the crack sound.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This hurts even more than it looks.
I like that they didn't really go for a big goofy sound effect either. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
like...
Yeah. And everyone else is dead silent.
There are a couple of, which I thought was interesting, couple of different horror movie references in this episode. There was the Psycho House and the Red Rum bit
The Shining.
with, The Shining
Oh,
bit with
the...
Millhouse. Pick up butt.
Trad, puke, zip.
Trad, puke,
Trad,
zip.
puke,
Of
zip.
course.
Yeah, which, obviously The Simpsons has done another time as well with the Murder House episode.
I
Yeah.
really don't feel like they needed to zoom in the mirror, though.
No.
Yeah.
That was like, anybody who doesn't get the joke at this point is not going to get the joke.
But
But
I'm
that's
pretty
a-
sure that shot
that's
is
a
actually a
direct
shot.
reference to The
yeah,
Shining.
that's
Yeah,
a
it
shot
zooms
they
in
do
on
in
the
The
mirror.
Shining.
Yeah,
The
but it's
Shining.
just like,
Yeah. No, I tend to agree, yeah.
One of my favourite parts of this episode was the security guards at Marine World in dolphin suits. Burly dragging him away.
Oh, yeah, cartoony moments. Fucking
Yeah.
Homer
Fuck's a
laughing at that fucking... I almost called it a fish, but it's not. It's a mammal.
And the dolphin shit-eating grin as it runs away. It's his hot dog.
It's doing that thing, where it's standing on the water and, paddling away. It's like, hot dog. Yes. But yeah,
yes.
But yeah, I think
Smithers, I'm home. Yes.
But no, I think that fight scene was the episode at its wackiness, wackiest. And I don't know, is it just me, or did that final punch that Tom land look like the intro to Street Fighter 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I got that.
It could
Yeah.
be a reference. I'm not sure, but yeah.
No, it's straight up that.
It-
That's the same punch.
The timing would have worked out. That's exactly what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
Apparently, they based a lot of the fight on a movie called The Quiet Man. It's a John Wayne film, so I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'll take your word for that one.
Yeah, same.
I think the cartooniest point of that fight is when they fought up the cliff.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my note. That was the big wacky moment where they go down the
Because
Canyon,
at that point,
that's
they're
the
both
word.
dead.
Yeah.
That's a good 400-foot fall.
No, I keep forgetting, that the fight really went to wacky places as well.
Yeah.
Like, they left the aquarium and came back somehow.
Somehow got into Springfield Gorge,
Yeah.
fought up the gorge,
The
and then
third
just
most
made it.
beautiful gorge in the States.
That's right.
Yeah. And then made their way into like outside Moe's.
Yeah.
and the antique shop.
Yeah.
Homer. Sorry.
I do appreciate Homer's disdain for antiques, where he just destroys them all. That's good. I too dislike antiques.
Oh, he said it here first.
It seemed to be very crockery specific.
Yeah, why do you want old crockery? Just go to IKEA. The plates are going to break anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I thought was interesting as well? In this episode, there's a lot of, I think we all noted at some point that the town or the house had moved or changed completely. There was a room that Homer was watching TV in that I'd never seen before.
Yes, you have.
It's
Oh,
only,
no, sorry.
Yeah,
It's only
Yep.
been in one other episode.
Which was?
Homer, can you check on the kids? Lightning strike. Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, when they get the comic book and they're all fighting over it. Yeah.
Also, the first episode where you hear Bart's middle name.
Oh,
It says Bartholomew J. Simpson. You never actually find out what the J stands for.
It's Jay.
It stands for
That's
J.
J for Homer.
Yeah, apparently, but it's an official Simpsons book, but it's an unofficial source, but most articles will quote it as an official source. Apparently, Bart's middle name is Jojo, but that's never...
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
No.
It's never said in episode. It is said in this official Simpsons family album book, I think that's what it was.
I
don't
think we can
feel
all
like
agree
that's
that we'll
very
tear
official.
that page out.
We'll strike this evidence from the record.
You made that up. Didn't you?
No.
Haven't you?
Haven't you? I was just about to say emotional moments. What do we think about that bit? Homer's jilted lover routine.
I thought it was
Look,
great.
I kind of vibed off it.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand Homer being hurt by his son wanting to find another father.
Yeah.
At the same time, be a better dad.
Yeah.
But, you know,
look at me.
Yeah, they take this moment to do some weird. You could have replaced the dialogue about two people in an actual relationship. Like,
Yeah.
come on, Dad, push me higher. Remember that? Higher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it was
was
quite
faking it.
weird.
They can talk about faking other things if it was a different situation.
Exactly.
And not father and son. Because that's
I think that was
very
the
illegal.
point. I was
sure.
wondering if it was actually a reference to something.
I mean, that scene, like, where Bart arrives home and it's, like, all dark in the main hallway, that does feel very referencey, but, like, yeah, I couldn't find any specific reference. But, yeah, there was something particular about the colouring of that scene, but
Yeah.
I don't know, it also felt very soap opera-y.
Or a bit noirish as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, the pouring of the drink from the bar cart that doesn't exist at any other time as well.
Yeah. Like right in front of the basement door that only sometimes exists.
That's
as well.
right.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a toilet as well.
And a closet sometimes where Homer finds his chili boots.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Billy Beer.
Oh, good stuff. But yeah, how was the emotions, the bumps in this episode? Did you guys get your heartstrings pulled?
By Peppy a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That-
was probably it.
Giant head and even gianter eyes.
Yeah. I did think that was sort of funny. The animation's quite funny that they just overdo it on making him look pathetic. But yeah, I think there were a few heartstrings tugged there by him.
I don't think he needed to be vaguely South American.
No, it was sort of weird.
Yeah, that's
And also, I don't understand how he was affording his own apartment.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's been a
Child labour laws, man, they were different back then.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, for the worse.
cut that one.
Editor's note.
But yeah, as well, like, I mean, it's not a great place he lives. The pipes are hanging way too low. I don't think that was on Homer, that one.
That seemed like a very, thing of the time that, lower class inner city people were all, in inverted commas, migrants and all that sort of stuff. That was a very much a joke of the time, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do like that Bart starts feeling some guilt, but I think it was sort of to your point before, Peter, that it doesn't dig in hard enough on a lot of these elements, and especially Bart's guilt is kind of thrown away.
Honestly, I don't think the main story had much heart at all. I think like Homer was really cruel and selfish in this episode.
Yeah.
The resolution is not a positive one, and it just sort of happens. And neither party really addresses while they're doing it. The only thing we see an occasional bit of regret in Bart is when he says that maybe there could be other kids, when they're out hang gliding.
Yeah.
But yeah, like because their motivations for doing what they do are so flawed that there's no opportunity for them to learn at any point, and that's where the heart often comes in The Simpsons, where they have a learning moment at the end and it goes, do 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 and plays some nice tune. Or there was heart in the B plot.
We
though.
don't want to watch an episode of Scrubs
You're really hating on Scrubs today.
because it's awful.
What's wrong with? Moving on before I.
I will say, I think today's episode.
Come at
Scrub
me.
you
out.
Oh, stop. Editor's note, cut.
You're cut. You're cut. Milhouse, you're cut.
I get to say that.
Like I said before, I'm taking over your show. Anyway, welcome back to Peter Simpson's podcast. Sheridan, Simon, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to
things
my podcast.
Oh, it's yours now. Okay,
Yeah.
Simon, thanks for having me on your show.
What is the Spartacus of podcast hosts?
I'm sorry, who the hell are you? Where did you come from?
This is Simon's podcast about hating Scrubs.
Yeah. It's awful. That's it.
That's it.
Fuck
Tune
you.
in next week.
Tune in next week where I tell you the same thing.
Yeah, there was.
It's like
I
that.
can't believe of all people, I'm the one trying to get this back on the fucking rails. I love that.
It is your podcast. So.
That's true. Speaking of rails, God, I love trains. Oh, come on.
Welcome back to the Thomas the Tank Engine
Simon's
Index.
losing his shit to my left here. He's gone red. He's shaking. Can't hear the laughter, but I
broke
can
me.
see
This
it.
is definitely deviated
Oh,
into an almost
shit.
always sunny type script. God damn it, D.
All right, I'm back.
All right. Well, how's the integrity of this episode? Are the characters all the ones that we know and love and all that?
To some degree.
Homer's different, as these guys have quite rightly noted.
Yeah. And I think tying also kind of into the emotion of this episode, like, I think we're seeing, like, Lisa, I feel like, is herself, even though she's not, like, doing something Lisa has. It feels like, oh, finally, there's a flaw with this perfect 8-year-old genius.
Today has proven to me, beyond doubt, that Lisa is just incredibly mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in
it
so
seems to
many
be that
ways.
way. Yeah.
She's got addiction issues, she's got anxiety, she's got depression.
but she knows how to work the American judicial system or whatever it was.
Well, now she does. With a paperclip,
With a
as it
Well,
turns
yeah,
out.
most people who do have all these issues.
Oh God.
Topical.
I think one thing that we're like sort of like skirting around, and that the episode skirted around as well as the whole addiction
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
what I mean. She has a mental illness.
She was on a phone line all the time, but I think they were trying to get at a much more prevalent point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and didn't quite commit to that. It would have been interesting to see an episode where that was actually the main plot, where they could have let that breathe a little bit more.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
a bit heavy.
Yeah.
I also sort of don't understand Marge's logic in make it till midnight and then you've beaten the addiction.
Yeah, no, so I've done that.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, finally it's
And
12.
we know
okay.
Marge's
12:01,
solution.
time
I'm
for a
fine.
bit.
Let's just forget all our troubles over a big bowl
Oh,
of strawberry ice cream.
But yeah, even Skinner, backing that up and then turning into the psycho routine.
I
Fuck,
love
I love this moment so
What's
much.
that, mother?
Yeah, that's good.
But I'm
Now-
a grown man now. That episode doesn't fit anymore.
Now, are we decided if that was actually there or he was just seeing that?
Yeah, this is the first time I
Ooh.
thought of it. Is that Skinner
Oh,
actually
yeah,
having a
wow.
mental breakdown, or was that did the town just rearrange for that shot?
Because he goes to that window a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's usually for
Talking
Vietnam
about his
flashbacks.
fucking
I was gonna say-
Vietnam-
Yeah.
I want a playlist of Skinner looking at the window with his arms behind his back.
Yeah.
It happens often, and every time it's something
They
amazing.
just never get the spices.
12 kinds of rice. I came close to madness trying to find the ingredients.
Oh God, what a good bit. So I mean, this is what's so disappointing about the joke of Skinner drowning in squishy. And like, I'm wearing my mother's blouse today. Like, this stuff where it was like he was a hardened like authority figure that would have breaks.
Skinner was a
Yeah.
fucking badass.
Yeah.
As is the episode title, Seymour Skinner's Badass
Badass
Song.
Song,
There we
yeah.
go. I got there in the end. I was like,
Yeah. Man, this has been such an interesting episode to revisit. But yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Of course.
Yeah.
I would, but with trepidation now. This
Yeah.
is actually, I feel like, not The Simpsons at its best for the golden era.
Yeah.
One thing that really stuck out with me here too was how once they set up those two plot lines, they never interact, like I said. And then Marge, Lisa, and Maggie, well, I guess Maggie to a lesser extent, just totally oblivious that Bart's not around and Homer's adopted a new child, and they're just
Yeah,
not
that
even-
never came up, did it?
No,
That
and,
is weird now that you pointed out.
and normally I can just roll with suspension of disbelief, but
And,
given
and Peppy's just roaming around the house.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't come up, And at no point does Marge scold Homer. Like, I think it's briefly brought. Oh yeah, he called you a bad father. That's where it's
Yeah.
addressed, and then it's all sort of separated, and it sort of felt lazy in that respect. So I still enjoy this episode in terms of revisiting it. It's got some great one-liners, like and this is a lot more painful than it looks. Is right up there with Simpsons quotes.
Yeah.
But yeah, altogether, it's pretty flawed now that I've revisited it with this eye.
No, and I mean, for anyone out there who's saying that we just love on the classic episodes and hate the new ones, look, we're complex. But, we'll probably watch this episode again, and if we're going to watch it again, we'd like to think about what playlist we'd put it in. So what are some other Simpsons episodes that pair nicely with Brother from the Same Planet?
Oh, Skinner staring out the window.
Yep.
Yeah, anything with Skinner staring out the window.
Lisa,
Absolutely.
mental illness.
Yep. Very upbeat playlist, that one.
Homer being cruel. I think, you know how he goes between, the bumbling moron, as Peter quite rightly said, who is well-meaning, and then he can just be actually a bastard sometimes.
Physically violent father.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole jerk-ass Homer versus golden retriever
Jerk-ass
Homer.
Homer, that's the one.
But what the good dumb Homer is, the golden retriever, who's just like well-meaning, but he's
Just a
dumb,
bit goofy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a dumb dog.
Yeah.
Um,
Dumb dog, why are you following me?
what?
I don't know what that was.
Don't
Is
know
this
that
Annie?
song? Yes.
Sounds very Disney.
That voice, I don't know that song, but that voice, you did such an Annie voice then. Now tell us about your hard knock life.
Music from the shed.
I don't know how to be. No crib on MTV. God only knows.
Sheridan again. Copyright.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the estate of Mike Myers is really going to sue us.
Oh, my bad. He's Canadian. Fuck him.
He'll apologize.
that come from?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Throwing out some Canada hate.
I'm ripping on every country today. Sorry. I don't mean it.
And you could get rid of the syllable tree as well. Ripping on every anyway.
Oh.
Peter, what would you like to change about this
Peter
episode?
looks so disappointed at that.
We're all disappointed.
gather my thoughts after that bad joke.
I'm glad I recorded that one. Didn't want to miss that.
Elliot, you're cut. Yeah, I felt like the pacing was a bit off, like you said, and that they could have done a bit more with Lisa's Corey plot, in that there was a lot of time given over to Bart and his bigger brother, whose name I've forgotten. Tom, was that it?
Tom.
Yeah, because apparently they originally wrote this specifically for Tom Cruise, and he just kept refusing on multiple chances, and like they left it to the last minute, which is why they got Phil Hartman in to play him. And
I'd say that
much
was a
better
good
call.
move.
yeah.
Yeah, like the writing's still sharp. Like I think one joke I forgot to bring up is fucking Martin going, wow, Bart's dad has really pulled himself together. Like, the jokes that land are still sharp, but the pacing just seems a bit off. So just tightening up the screws a little bit and fixing that ending, like just Bart just forgiving Homer out of the blue is a bit busted, I think.
Yeah. How about you, Simon?
I think overall it was a pretty decent episode. I think they tried that whole like trying to make a bit more of a story arc than usual. Unfortunately, they tried to do two that never intersected. Somehow that doesn't make sense, but sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I am very concerned about Tom's job, though.
As an F-14 pilot, apparently.
Well, no. Like, he's definitely not an F-14 pilot. He has experimental ray guns.
That he let his adoptive younger brother take.
I'm pretty sure Tom's somewhere in the real deep dark.
It's a bit of a sketchy guy.
Can we talk about Tom for a sec, actually? Like, what kind of guy?
I think Tom's a bit sus.
Yeah, Tom's very sus. You remember that comment where he's just like, oh, Bart, I could kiss you if they hadn't made me sign a form saying that I wouldn't.
That is it, yeah.
Well, I
I'm
think
like, and
that'd
this
be a
guy's
pretty
just-
standard form.
Yeah, sure, obviously. But
Don't
Is it
kiss the
signed
children.
on,
Maybe
is it
not in
signed
those
on,
words.
on Krusty's legal documents? You know, it's a quality form. But
but like also, what kind of guy I mean, it's great if it's genuine, but I think I always err on the side of suspiciousness when like a guy just shows up to an agency going, I want to adopt a young boy.
Are you
revenge.
saying Tom's a possible pedophile?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I thought, like...
This episode's taken a dark turn now.
it has.
Well, I was driving it towards he's probably like way deeper into the government than a fucking pilot. But I suppose pedophile and
He
that
could
is
be both.
generally the same thing, unfortunately.
He's getting into dark territory.
Back to the island with Epstein we go.
Oh.
How about you, Sheridan? What would you like to change about this episode?
What would I change?
Yes.
Look, I think
That was the hardest cut that ever cut.
Elliot's highlighting.
Left turn.
God. Yeah, look, I'd probably change a lot of things. I think most of them have been mentioned. The pacing for sure, just sort of even that out a little bit. I would go a bit further and a bit deeper into Lisa's addiction problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything else, I basically agree with what's already been said.
Yeah, I...
See how it feels to be at the end of the chairs?
Yes.
No, I agree. Like, I reckon, yeah, these could have been 2 episodes on by themselves. And yeah, you're mentioning the whole, what are Marge and Lisa doing? Like, why is Homer looking out at the stars with some kid? And like, like, why is this happening?
And where
sorry,
is
honey,
Bart all the
I
time?
can't talk now. Your daughter's addicted to a phone line. I can't address the child you brought home.
Yeah.
You do Lisa stuff, I'll do Peppy stuff.
And we'll meet back next week at 9.
But yeah, just thinking about Tom's actually kind of a wild card of a person, you know. Yeah, taking a kid hand gliding and giving a neurodisruptor.
Yeah.
It is called a neural disruptor. Maybe the turn at the end should have been Bart seeing a bit of Tom's cruelty in this whole thing.
Yeah?
Because, yeah, he's ready to punch Homer on a dime as well. He's like telling Tom about his problems with his dad, and he's just like, oh, I'd kill him the first time I get a chance. And, like, yeah, maybe Bart could, like, realize that, oh, this guy is a bit sketchy.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
what
Tom
kind
was
of...
a sociopath.
Yeah, well, what kind of bigger brother just, you know, in front of the kid? He makes a comment at the beginning where it's like, if I ever see your father,
Yeah.
you know?
Although-
and then is blatantly violent in front of a kid he's supposed to be looking after and mentoring. So he's
Yeah.
not that great either.
However, that does give way to one of the greatest lines in Simpson history is Homer Simpson, the drunken gambler. Yes.
I know what you mean.
Like last
dear.
week we did Homer the Vigilante where, you know, he's on Smartline. He's like, gets a call. Hello, Homer. It's your arch nemesis. Yellow. You do know who I am. Marge?
No, Homer, I'm not your wife.
Oh, God bless that stupid golden retriever. All right, we're here. Starting down this side of the thing now. Peter, do you have any other notes?
I'd just like to acknowledge Milhouse's horsey.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god, yeah.
worst.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This whole episode is, I think, flawed from a writing perspective, but has just some brilliant one-liners, which in a way occasionally makes me think they had some. I don't think they formed a story around these gags, but they had these gags that have been sitting there for a while, possibly, and they wrote this story, and then they're like, oh, finally we can get this in and get these in. Because when the episode lands, it lands fucking hard.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, everything I've said, Homer is just a bastard. He's not a well-meaning person. In this one, he's motivated by revenge, very selfish. A lot of smoking in the early seasons of The Simpsons. Yeah.
So wild, especially with children smoking as well. It's
I was talking to my mate about this the other day. Like, whenever Homer was frustrated back in the day or happy and victorious, he'd be punching cigars. You know? He'd always be smoking cigars in, like, season 2.
You know, I've actually noticed this in a lot of other shows recently. I've gone back and started watching certain things from the start, even if I'm only half paying attention. The Nanny, for example. Started watching that again recently. Fran was a smoker in the first season.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Had no idea.
Explains the voice.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, cigarettes are the last thing she needs. But also Sex in the City and getting into the really girly shows here. But Carrie Bradshaw was always a smoker through the seasons. And then when the movies came out, she didn't smoke one cigarette because they wanted it to go to a wider audience and thought it was sending the wrong message.
There you go.
I mean, that's surprising that even Sex in the City, like, because Nanny, I could totally buy that just being like a product of the 90s and people still had ornamental ashtrays in their house, which would be used. And
Yeah.
like, I made an ashtray for my parents for a ceramic in primary school.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Same
Well,
for
I mean, I
grandparents.
watched an episode of, what's that show? Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares the other day. And it can't have been more than 10 to 15 years old.
Yeah.
And
2003.
in this restaurant, and obviously this is in the UK, so the smoking laws are vaguely different, but there are ashtrays on every table in this restaurant inside, not in an outdoor area. And I'm going, God, I can't even remember that here.
Yeah.
I would like to just acknowledge Ren and Stimpy for a moment,
Yeah.
who made an appearance in this episode.
It was, I don't know.
Was it actually Ren and Stimpy?
No,
Yeah.
that was Dan Castellaneta playing both of them.
Was it?
I thought so.
But Nickelodeon
It was
gave...
Ron and Stompy.
Stan and Rimpy.
Yeah. No, apparently Nickelodeon did help them out with some of the animation of this bit, but they were really restrictive on what Ren and Stimpy could do, which is weird considering like the kind of shit Ren and Stimpy would do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think as a result, this bit just sort of felt nothing to me. I don't know. Do you guys like it or?
It's fine, but it felt like, hey, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
We're cool with pop culture.
Well, it just sort of felt like a fill-in for Itchy and Scratchy.
Well, that's exactly right. I think
Which they also had in this episode.
it could have just as easily been Itchy and Scratchy. Like, it being Ren and Stimpy didn't add anything.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were commenting on the show either. Like, yeah.
I suppose the only thing you could fit it in with is that Bart is no longer in his world with his family because he watches it with Tom.
I can see that. Yeah, that makes
Oh, yeah.
maybe.
Tom has basic cable. He gets to watch Nickelodeon.
But this is me drawing a bow that's so damn long you could probably trip over it. So,
Yeah.
one thing I forgot to mention, I did look it up. The scene where Homer accuses Bart of seeing his big brother is a reference to the 1966 film Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, where
Hey,
Richard
there you
Burton
go.
accuses Elizabeth Taylor of adultery.
Yep. That totally tracks.
I haven't seen this film, so
I know the scene they're talking about. Anyway, whose other notes was I up to? Was it you or you?
Simon's turn.
Simon.
Because, mate, I don't really have a lot.
Yeah. How about
be
you,
honest.
Sheridan? Do you have any other notes?
No, I'm all done.
Off you go.
Who is this woman that looks exactly like Homer and has muzzle, but
Oh, yes.
I am woman,
Hear me roar. Numbers too big to ignore.
And then puts mud all over Bart before he almost gets struck by lightning. What the fuck?
oh, this kid had a bad day.
Oh, that poor dog.
The other kids though, they had a great day. They went to go see Bart and Fink.
What an odd reference to bring up. Bart and Fink.
Yeah, like I'm not sure. It's a Coen Brothers movie, isn't it?
I've not seen it, but yeah, I think it's a Coen Brothers movie.
I know John Goodman's in it, but it's not a sexy R-rated movie at all. Like,
Speak for yourself. John Goodman would be very upset if you said that. It's
oh, and Harold Ramis. I didn't know he was in it. Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
well, I'm sold.
Yeah. What else have I got? Oh, the whole pick up Bart routine is just fucking excellent.
Bart.
Yeah, Santa's Little Helper. That's the other playlist. I'd put that in. Santa's Little Helper talking.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chewy?
Rough. You've been peddling that all day.
And yeah, Sheridan, you brought up a picture of Bobby Sherman. I gotta say, not a bad looking dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was very 90s.
I showed you a very
The helmet
old...
hair is epic.
Oh, not 90s. He was older than that. I showed you him in his prime.
Oh, yes, wait, no, it was Marge who liked him, not Lisa. Of course, he'd be
Marge.
older than that. Yeah, yeah.
No, Lisa like Corey.
Corey.
Let's see what's in the newspaper today.
Story. Allegory.
Montessori.
Sorry.
Oh,
dear.
good shit. Yeah,
times.
just about Homer being a jerk, just him flipping through the catalog of kids he can adopt and just ugly pimples. Suey, Suey. Man.
Ugly wiener.
Yeah.
Crater face.
That's the other
Face.
thing. Like, he's just such a prick in this episode. He's, oh,
I'll take him. Do you have him in blonde?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So awful.
Yeah, that's all I had besides, and you got to shriek like a woman. And then when he turns away in disgust, then you kick some back.
It's time to kick some back.
Ah, Jesus. All right, it's time to rank this thing. And Peter's going first.
It's a silver. It's just, I keep reiterating, I've never watched this one critically before, and it's actually pretty flawed. Like, in terms of that, this is in comparison to the other episodes of that era. It's actually kind of busted. It's still great, and there's still really good one-liners, but I think people tend to remember the one-liners from this episode. And so, yeah, the pacing's off, and there's nothing really redeemable about that. That was the part that stuck me the most.
Yeah.
There's no redeemable elements for Homer's behavior in this episode. He's just a tool.
No, and you're talking about episodes around this time. I'm giving it a silver as well because I compare it a lot to Marge in Chains, which is a very good episode, but it's just got the fucking sweatiest story ever.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to ding it for that because, yeah, you're right. Like, the classics around this time, like, they're just engaging on all fronts. And, like, yeah, this one's has got, like, quotable moments and yucks, but, yeah, the story's letting it down. Silver for me. Simon.
I'm going to give it a bronze.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a bronze mostly because of the company it keeps.
Yeah, good
Like
point.
the episodes around it are just so much better.
And Sheridan, finish it off.
Yeah, Simon took the words out of my mouth. I think I'm really tempted to give it a bronze, but I think I'm going to check my bias there because I think it's just a comparison thing. For a golden era episode, it doesn't cut it for me, but when you compare it to the entire Simpsons catalog, I think it's not bad. So I'll give it a silver.
All right. Averaging out into a dull silver. It's the first episode from season 4 to get that ranking, and only the second classic era episode to get that ranking as well. It'll be joining Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington from season 3, which is fine, but it's also, yeah.
Well, it's a dull silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has the, oh, you've got those damn badgers. Okay.
Yeah.
What's her name's having a bath? Is it, it's not Barbara Bush, is
Yeah,
it?
it is Barbara
Yeah,
Bush,
because they were in
yeah.
the White House at the time. Yeah, it's Barbara Bush.
All right. Well, look, that about wraps it up before... Oh, my God, I almost forgot. We've got some very important business to do before we get out of here. Sheridan, Simon, we are about to ask the most important question that we ask our guests. And Sheridan, we started doing this segment after your
I'm
hiatus
suddenly very
from the
afraid.
podcast. So
I know what's coming, and I don't know my answer. Ask him first.
I've already had
All right.
to do this. My answer was terrible.
Simon,
Throw me under the bus. All right, shoot.
on the Simpsons Index, on our website, we're building a secret sandwich board for all our guests. So we want to know, if you could have a sandwich that is named after you, what would be on that sandwich?
Okay. We're going to go with shaved turkey. We're going to go with ham.
Oh, double meat.
else? Oh, yeah, absolutely. All
Two
the mates.
meats.
Yeah, yeah. Some nice cheese. Maybe even a bit of melted brie in there. Yeah. I want to I want to toast it,
Yeah.
and then I want to open up that toasted sandwich and put some fresh lettuce in there.
Hell yeah.
Jeez.
Give
Very
me the
refreshing.
crunch.
It needs a name.
It's the Simon Hamilton.
That's the Simon.
Oh, I see.
Just like your 3 meat, 3 cheese.
Oh no, it's the
monster.
ham
Oh.
Hilton sandwich.
Because I was thinking, like, when people hear the name Hamilton, they think about the stage show. Like, oh, no, I want them to think about this sandwich.
For those at home, he just did the raid fist, like in the star in Hamilton. Like, very good. Sheridan, what's on the Morley?
Oh, God.
What's on the Sheridan?
What's on the shed?
Yeah, what's in the shed? What's the rusty?
What's the old rusty shed?
Oh, it's going to be a really crusty loaf.
God, I don't know. I should have come prepared for this question. Look, I'm going to go with something nice and clean and simple. So it's going to be an open melt on crusty bread with some seeded mustard, some ham, some tomato, some Swiss cheese, and some mushrooms.
Oh.
How's that?
Very, very clean and simple. Like it.
Ham.
Sharehamden.
Ham.
All right, well, that sounds delicious. I'm very hungry, so we better go get off and get some food. And yeah, I'm running out of words. So let's wrap this up. Peter, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me back. It was a huge mistake on your part, as you now know, but my 2 episodes have been fun.
Simon, thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Sheridan?
Thank you for having me. Not thank you for joining us, just Sheridan.
You're welcome.
and the rest.
Cheers, Rusty.
Sheridan, hello.
Nah, welcome back, dude.
Thank you. Good to be back.
I've been your host, Elliot J. O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
Oh no, she's got a soundboard.
Yeah,
I'm going to cue it up.
on the soundboard. That's perfect.
I'm ready.
I mean, I imagine we'll talk about the actual episode for 5 minutes and then discuss, what you guys did at the pub last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's generally how it goes, isn't
That,
it?
that,
Much
that
better
picante
content.
dip was really good. Can we talk about the picante dip? I like that.
Can we not? I don't want to talk about it again.
Oh, now also on the way here, Simon said he's never done a podcast before. So remember I said it was like being at the pub? You can tell now it's just like
Yeah, it's
being
fine.
at the pub, but with microphones.
Yeah.
Because we all say such intelligent things all the time.
Yeah, people want to listen to what we think,
Yeah, I'm going
right?
to have to be careful about
Exactly.
what I
We're
say.
all middle-class white suburbanites. People want our opinions on things. One thing I learned last time.
That was a mistake.
Yes, that has been an ass.
All right.
This is an ASMR podcast
Suddenly
now.
turned on.
Yes.
Just watch the Simpsons.
I learned this last time the hard way because I had indigestion. If you need to cough or clear your throat or burp, you just lean over here.
I just want to hear you burp, but not quite make it away from the microphone. So it's like,
It's like a Doppler burp.
yes.
Lisa.
I'm going to hold the microphone like Henry Rollins in this one, I think. This is
Okay. Have fun with that.
Yeah, well, this is going to be very comfortable for the next hour.
You are the hardcore legend of podcasting.
Got a photo of that Sheridan, actually.
Oh.
Great action shot.
Oh.
Are you all right?
Yeah, get my reaction shot of this.
What is it?
The Monteiths.
I told you they were bad.
Yum, 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 yum.
Monteith's no good brewery.
Delicious.
That is unpleasant.
Oh, fuck. Flight mode.
It's like ridiculously fruity, but somehow like awful.
That's Monteith's. They don't make good beer. I'm going to be that cool guy now, too.
Hey.
Because I've been doing
That's a hard
lots of
cut.
drugs.
Are we doing a Sunny podcast?
Yeah, because we've been doing tons of drugs.
Oh, yeah,
So
cool.
we need to have sunglasses on.
It's always sunny in podcast Delphia. Nope. Potadelphia.
Doop,
Whatever.
Doop, doop,
Nope,
doop,
fail.
doop, doop, doop.
Potadelphia.
Good recovery.
Yeah.
Feeling trapped? Tired of the ordinary? Of course you are. We knew you were. If you're looking for an escape from the everyday, then you're looking for Pulp Fury Radio, a new podcast anthology series featuring all original stories in classic pulp genres like sci-fi, noir, horror, and fantasy. Join us and journey to a small town being invaded by a parasite from beyond the darkest depths of space.
What could have done that? What is tentacles like that?
At first, it was like an infection, but it takes control.
Come on, we've got to run!
This town needs us more than ever, and I do not intend to let it down.
Or investigate a murder while trapped aboard a speeding train with 7 strangers and 1 killer.
I am Inspector Thomas Page of Interpol. Do any of you recognize the woman cuffed to my arm?
Irma, die Wölfin von Majdanek.
I have 5 minutes to find out just which one of you is a traitor working with this Nazi.
We've gone over everybody's story, and as far as we can tell, everyone is who they say they are.
Oh, I see. So, we wait to see who dies next to narrow down the search.
Stay back.
Perhaps you prefer selling insurance in a world of fantasy and magic.
I know he used fire, but he wasn't a pyromancer, he was a pyromaniac.
This is a very minor quest, not even a level 1 really.
I'm talking real adventure, real danger and excitement.
Seek ye not the lost scroll, child?
We are in no way equipped to face off against a dark wizard. You majored in English and I forged all my report cards.
Or solve a crime of murder, mystery, and music.
Fearless Felix Phoenix is the name.
So, what can I do for you, detective?
You're wrong, Felix. Don't you feel it?
Sorry, kitten, but feelings don't matter when there's no proof. Ready? Let's jam.
Each episode comes fully loaded with suspense, action, mystery, and drama, all to help you escape from your everyday. You can find out more at pulpfuryradio.com, with our first episode coming soon to wherever you get your podcasts.
Come on, your adventure awaits! Or whatever.